Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's incredible story, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Picture this: a man dangles from a clock tower hundreds of feet above the ground. No harness, no safety net, no CGI, just flesh and bone and sheer insanity. He falls, the cameras keep rolling. The audience gasps, and somehow, impossibly, they start laughing. Now imagine that same man sliding down the side of a glass skyscraper, grabbing onto a pole wrapped in live electrical lights that explode around him in a shower of sparks and flame. He crashes to the ground. His back is burned. His body is broken. But he gets up, dusts himself off, does that signature goofy grin, and the entire theater erupts in applause. This is not a character in a movie. This is a real human being doing this to his actual body, over and over again. For decades, every bone in his body broken at least once. Skull fractured. 3 weeks in a coma. Permanent hearing loss. A literal hole in his head that will never heal. And yet, through it all, he kept making us laugh. How does someone turn agony into art? How do you take a broken bone and transform it into comedy gold? What kind of person looks at death and decides it's the perfect setup for a punchline? But here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. This man wasn't born into privilege. He wasn't handed a Hollywood contract. He was almost sold by his parents for $26 because they couldn't afford to feed him. He was sent away at age 7 to a school where children were beaten with bamboo sticks for 18 hours a day, where showing pain meant more punishment, where survival meant learning to smile through suffering. And that's where it started. The alchemy, the mysterious transformation of pain into laughter that would eventually captivate billions of people around the world. You see, there's a moment, a specific moment that nobody talks about. A moment that happened in a hospital room in Yugoslavia in 1987. Jackie Chan was lying in a hospital bed. His skull cracked open, his brain exposed, doctors saying he might never walk again, might never even wake up. And in that moment, something changed. Something clicked. A realization that would define everything that came after. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Because to understand that moment, to understand why a man would deliberately throw himself off buildings and through glass and into harm's way again and again and again, you need to know where it all began. You need to understand the brutal childhood that forged him, the desperate hunger that drove him, and the secret technique he discovered that no other action star has ever been able to replicate. The sound of bones cracking, the gasp of the audience, the sudden explosion of laughter. Jackie Chan turned these 3 sounds into a symphony that changed cinema forever. But the question nobody asks is why. Why would someone do this to themselves? What's the real story behind the smile? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover isn't just the story of the world's most fearless stuntman. It's the story of how a thrown-away child became the man who taught the entire world how to laugh in the face of fear. And trust me, the truth is far more powerful than anything you've seen on screen. Hong Kong, 1954, the air thick with humidity and desperation. Narrow streets packed with refugees, the scent of street food mixing with exhaust fumes, the constant cacophony of Cantonese voices bargaining, arguing, surviving. This is a city rebuilding itself after war, a place where every family has a story of loss, and every child learns hustle before they learn to read. In a cramped apartment near the French embassy, a baby boy enters the world. His parents, Charles and Li Chan, are so poor that his birth isn't a celebration but a crisis. Another mouth to feed, another body competing for space in rooms already too small. They name him Chan Kong Sang, which means born in Hong Kong, because they can't afford to be poetic about it. His father works as a cook at the French embassy. His mother is a housekeeper. Together they make barely enough to survive. And this baby, this tiny additional burden, represents a mathematical problem they cannot solve. So they consider something unthinkable. They almost sell him. $26.
That's what their son is worth in this moment.
That's how close Jackie Chan comes to never existing as we know him, but they keep him. Somehow they scrape together enough to feed one more mouth. Young Kong Sang grows up watching his mother's hands, rough from labor, preparing simple rice. He sees his father leave before dawn and return after dark. He learns early that poverty isn't just about lacking money. It's about lacking choices. It's about being trapped. The streets of Hong Kong in the 1950s are a training ground for survival. Kids running barefoot through markets, dodging cars, climbing fences, stealing fruit when hunger gets too sharp. Kong Sang is small for his age, but quick. He learns to move, to dodge, to take a hit and keep going. The city itself is teaching him lessons he doesn't know he'll need. But his parents see something else.
They see a child they cannot afford.
They see their own limitations reflected in his eyes. And when Kong Sang turns 7 years old, they make a decision that will change everything. They're going to send him away,
Not to relatives.
not to friends, but to a place with a reputation so brutal that parents only send their children there as a last resort. The China Drama Academy, the Peking Opera School. The building sits in Kowloon, 3 stories of concrete and discipline. Inside, Master Yu Jim Yuen runs an operation that would be illegal anywhere else. This isn't a school in any traditional sense. It's a factory for producing performers, acrobats, opera singers,
Martial artists.
and the manufacturing process involves breaking children down completely before rebuilding them into something useful. Kong Sang arrives with a small bag of belongings. His parents sign the contract.
10 years of training.
Master Yu has complete control. He can discipline the children however he sees fit.
No complaints. No refunds. No escape. The door closes behind him.
He's 7 years old. He doesn't know he won't really have a home again until he's an adult. He doesn't know that the next decade will involve pain he cannot yet imagine. He doesn't know that this moment, this abandonment, will become the foundation of everything he'll eventually build. The China Drama Academy operates on a schedule designed to destroy weakness. 4:30 in the morning, students wake on hard floors. No beds, no blankets. Just dozens of children sleeping side by side in a room that smells like sweat and fear. They have minutes to wash their faces with cold water before training begins. 5 a.m. stretching.
And this isn't gentle yoga.
Master Yu and his assistants push students into splits, bend their backs into bridges, pull their legs up beside their heads. The sound of children crying fills the room. If you cry too loud, you get hit with a bamboo stick. So you learn to cry quietly. You learn to suffer silently. 6 a.m. acrobatics training. Flips, cartwheels, handstands, aerial maneuvers. Fall and you repeat it. Fall again and you repeat it 20 more times. The wooden floor is unforgiving. Young Kong Sang learns what it feels like to land wrong.
To have the wind knocked from your lungs.
To taste blood in your mouth and know that showing weakness means more punishment. 8 a.m. breakfast.
A bowl of rice. Sometimes vegetables. Rarely meat.
The children eat in silence, too exhausted to talk. Then immediately back to training, martial arts forms. Punches, kicks, blocks repeated thousands of times until muscle memory replaces conscious thought. Master Yu walks between them with his bamboo stick.
Any mistake earns a strike.
Back of the legs.
Across the shoulders.
The palm of your outstretched hand. Afternoon, opera training. Singing, acting, elaborate costume movements. The Peking Opera is a complex art form requiring perfect pitch, dramatic expression, and the ability to perform elaborate fight choreography while wearing 40 pounds of silk and headdresses. Kong Sang has to learn all of it. There's no option to specialize. You master everything or you're worthless. Evening, more acrobatics.
More martial arts.
More punishment for imperfection. By the time darkness falls, these children have trained for 18 hours. Their bodies are covered in bruises. Their muscles scream. Their minds are numb.
And then they collapse on that hard floor and do it all again the next day. And the next.
And the next, for years. Kong Sang learns to navigate this hell. He's chosen for a special performance troupe called the Seven Little Fortunes, the best students Master Yu has. This means more training,
More expectations.
more pressure. But it also means recognition. It means being seen. For a boy abandoned by his parents, being chosen for anything feels like salvation. He bonds with two other boys. Sammo Hung, bigger and older, already showing talent for choreography. Yun Biao, graceful and precise, a natural acrobat. The three of them form a connection deeper than friendship. They're survivors of the same war. Brothers forged in brutality. They protect each other when they can. They suffer together when they can't. And here's what nobody talks about. Here's the seed that gets planted in these years. Kong Sang learns that his pain doesn't matter. He learns that the audience's reaction is everything. When the Seven Little Fortunes perform on the streets of Hong Kong, doing backflips and fight scenes for spare change, Kong Sang notices something. When he takes a hard fall and pops back up with a smile, people laugh. They clap. They throw more money. His pain makes them happy. His suffering becomes their entertainment. And somewhere in his young mind, a connection forms. If I can control how I show my pain, if I can transform it into something that makes people smile, then maybe the pain serves a purpose. Maybe it's not just random cruelty. Maybe it means something. At age 8, Kong Sang appears in his first film, a small role in Big and Little Wong Tin Bar. He's essentially a prop, but he's on a film set. He sees cameras, lights, directors, actors. He sees a world bigger than Master Yu's training hall. A world where the skills being beaten into him might actually lead somewhere. The training continues. The years blur together. By the time Kong Sang is a teenager, his body is a weapon. He can do a backflip from a standing position.
He can kick above his own head.
He can take a punch and make it look devastating for the camera while barely feeling it. He's been hit so many times, fallen so hard, punished so severely, that his pain threshold is superhuman. But here's the dark truth that's forming. Here's the pattern being etched into his psychology. Kong Sang has learned that love equals pain, that acceptance requires suffering, that the only way to be valued is to endure more than anyone else can endure. His parents couldn't afford to love him, so they sent him away. Master Yu's version of care involves bamboo sticks and impossible standards. Every authority figure in his life has taught him the same lesson. You are only worth what you can withstand. This is the foundation. This is the bedrock upon which Jackie Chan will eventually build an empire. But he doesn't know that yet. He's still just a teenage boy with a body covered in scars, sleeping on a hard floor, dreaming of something more.
Something bigger.
Some way to make all this suffering mean something, and that opportunity is coming. Because in the Hong Kong film industry, something is about to change.
A legend is about to rise and then tragically fall.
And in the vacuum left behind, a desperate industry will be looking for someone crazy enough, tough enough, skilled enough to fill impossible shoes. Someone who learned to smile through pain. Someone who turned suffering into performance. Someone who spent his entire childhood being broken down and rebuilt into something that can endure anything. Someone exactly like Kong Sang, who's about to choose a new name. A name that will become synonymous with death, defying stunts and impossible physicality, and the strange alchemy of making audiences laugh while putting his life on the line. A name the world will soon know: Jackie Chan. The Peking Opera School contract ends when Kong Sang turns 17. Most students leave broken, traumatized, unable to function in normal society. They've spent their entire childhood in a controlled environment where every minute was scheduled, every movement dictated, every failure punished. The outside world feels impossibly large and terrifyingly unstructured. But Kong Sang has something most others don't. He has Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao. The three brothers leave together, carrying nothing but the skills beaten into them and an unspoken understanding that they will survive whatever comes next. They've endured Master Yu. They can endure anything. Hong Kong in the early 1970s is experiencing a cinema boom unlike anything the world has seen. Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest Studios are churning out martial arts films at an unprecedented rate. Theatres can't get enough. Audiences are hungry for heroes who can fly through the air, deliver devastating kicks, embody the warrior spirit that China's ancient history promises but modern reality denies. And at the center of this explosion is one man, Bruce Lee. Lee had gone to America, failed to break through in Hollywood despite his extraordinary talent, and returned to Hong Kong where he became an instant phenomenon. The Big Boss in 1971 shattered every box office record. Fist of Fury in 1972 elevated him to mythic status. By 1973, Enter the Dragon was positioning him as the first genuine Asian crossover star, someone who could command respect in both Eastern and Western markets. Kong Sang watches Bruce Lee films in cheap theaters, sitting in the back, studying every movement. Lee is everything the opera school promised but never quite delivered. He's powerful without being bulky, fast without sacrificing precision. His fighting style looks real in a way that traditional martial arts cinema doesn't. There's an authenticity that audiences can feel even if they don't understand the technical differences. More importantly, Bruce Lee is serious, intensely, almost frighteningly serious. His characters don't smile.
They don't joke.
They embody righteous fury, channeling centuries of Chinese pride and post-colonial anger into perfectly executed spinning kicks and one-inch punches. When Bruce Lee fights, it's not entertainment. It's warfare. It's reclamation. It's a statement. Kong Sang gets hired as a stuntman. His opera school training makes him perfect for the job. He can fall, flip, take hits that would hospitalize normal actors. He's cheap, expendable, and skilled enough to make stars look good. On the set of Fist of Fury, he's one of the Japanese students who gets beaten by Bruce Lee. He takes kicks to the face, crashes through paper walls,
Sells every hit like his life depends on it, because in a way it does. This is his entry point.
This is how you break into Hong Kong cinema if you're nobody from nowhere with no connections and no money. You let yourself get hurt for tiny paychecks and hope someone notices that you're willing to do what others won't. Between takes, Kong Sang watches Bruce Lee work, the precision of his movements, the way he demands take after take until it's perfect, the absolute control he maintains over every aspect of his performance. Lee isn't just an actor. He's a philosopher expressing ideas through violence. Every fight sequence is choreographed to tell a story, to communicate something deeper than just physical conflict. Kong Sang files this away. He's learning that martial arts cinema can be more than just spectacle. It can mean something. But he's also noticing something else, something that will become crucial later. Bruce Lee never looks afraid,
Never shows weakness.
never breaks character to acknowledge the audience. There's a wall between performer and viewer that maintains Lee's mystique, but also creates distance. On Enter the Dragon, Kong Sang is part of the stunt team again. More beatings, more crashes, more anonymous work that pays barely enough to survive. But he's on a major international production. He sees how Hollywood crews work. He watches American directors interact with Chinese performers. He observes the cultural friction, the translation problems, the fundamental differences in how Eastern and Western filmmakers approach action. Then, July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee collapses in a dubbing studio. Cerebral edema. He's rushed to the hospital.
Hours later, he's dead.
32 years old.
At the absolute peak of his powers. Gone. Hong Kong goes into mourning.
The funeral procession draws tens of thousands. The entire colony feels like it's lost something irreplaceable, more than just a movie star, a symbol. Proof that Chinese people could compete on the global stage. That Asian masculinity could be powerful, respected, feared. But in the cold business logic of Hong Kong cinema, Bruce Lee's death creates a vacuum. Studios have invested millions in martial arts infrastructure. They've built sets, trained crews, developed distribution networks. And suddenly they have no star to put in front of the cameras, no one to build franchises around, no one to sell to the audiences who are still hungry for what Bruce Lee represented. The search begins immediately. Every martial arts performer in Hong Kong gets a screen test. Studios are looking for the next Bruce Lee, someone who can mimic his intensity, someone who can replicate his fighting style, someone who can fill those impossible shoes. Kong Sang auditions. So does every other stuntman and martial artist in the territory. The studios create a name for him because Kong Sang sounds too provincial, too ordinary. They cycle through options. Chen Yuan Long, nothing sticks. Finally, someone suggests Jackie Chan, an anglicized version that sounds friendly, approachable, non-threatening. Perfect for the international market they're trying to crack. He starts getting roles. Small parts.
Forgettable films.
Studios are throwing everything at the wall to see what resonates. Jackie tries to do what they ask. He studies Bruce Lee's movements. He adopts the serious scowl. He attempts to channel that barely controlled rage that made Lee so magnetic. It doesn't work. Audiences can tell it's imitation. Critics are savage.
New Fist of Fury in 1976 is supposed to be Jackie's breakout.
Instead, it's a humiliation. He's doing a bad Bruce Lee impression and everyone knows it. The film makes money because audiences are desperate for martial arts content, but Jackie is forgettable in it. Replaceable. Just another guy trying to be someone he's not. This is the crisis point. Jackie is in his early 20s. He's been training since age 7. He has skills that 99% of humanity could never develop. He's willing to take hits, do falls, risk his body in ways that terrify other performers. And none of it matters because he's trying to be Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee is dead, and no one wants a copy when they can remember the original. Late nights in his small apartment, Jackie watches old films.
Not martial arts movies.
Silent comedies. Buster Keaton hanging from clock towers. Harold Lloyd dangling from skyscraper ledges. Charlie Chaplin turning poverty and struggle into physical comedy that transcends language. These performers didn't have dialogue.
Couldn't rely on words.
Had to communicate everything through their bodies, their faces, their willingness to put themselves in absurd and dangerous situations, and something clicks. A realization that feels both obvious and revolutionary. Bruce Lee's genius was being invincible. What if Jackie's genius is being vulnerable? What if instead of hiding fear, he shows it?
What if instead of making violence serious, he makes it funny?
What if the key isn't to be the next Bruce Lee, but to be the first Jackie Chan? His opera school brothers see it too. Sammo Hung is already directing, already experimenting with blending comedy and action. Yuan Biao is developing his own acrobatic style. The three of them start collaborating, workshopping ideas, trying to create something new. They have nothing to lose. Jackie's career is already failing. Might as well fail trying something original. They start studying physics. Not formally, but practically. How do you make a fall look devastating but survive it? What angle creates maximum visual impact with minimum actual injury?
How do you choreograph a fight so it's funny and impressive simultaneously?
They practice in empty studios, trying moves that make them laugh, that feel different from the stoic martial arts films dominating theatres. Jackie's first truly successful experiment comes almost by accident. During a fight rehearsal, he improvises using props around the set. A ladder becomes a weapon, a shield, a gymnastic apparatus. He's doing acrobatics while fighting, making silly faces, reacting to pain in exaggerated ways. Sammo Hung watches and starts laughing. Not at Jackie, with him. The fear and pain and comedy are mixing into something that feels fresh. This is the moment. The actual call to the craft. Not when Jackie decided to be in movies. That was survival economics, the only path available to someone with his background. This is when he discovers his voice, his unique contribution. The thing only he can do because only he has the specific combination of opera school training, stuntman fearlessness, and willingness to look foolish. He starts getting invited to small independent productions. Directors who are tired of Bruce Lee clones and willing to try something different. Snake in the Eagle's Shadow in 1978 gives Jackie his first chance to blend comedy and martial arts properly. He plays a janitor, a nobody, someone audiences can relate to. He gets beaten up repeatedly.
He looks scared.
He runs away from fights. And then, when he finally fights back, it's inventive and surprising and genuinely entertaining. The film is cheap,
Shot quickly.
released without much promotion.
And it becomes a hit.
Not a massive blockbuster, but successful enough that studios take notice. Audiences like this version of Jackie.
They like that he's not invincible.
They like that he makes them laugh while impressing them. It's a different kind of heroism,
More human.
more accessible. Emboldened, Jackie and his team push further. Drunken Master later in 1978 is the breakthrough. Jackie plays Wong Fei Hung, a real historical figure, but interprets him as a cocky, undisciplined brat who has to learn humility through brutal training. The film's training sequences mirror Jackie's real childhood. The punishment,
The suffering.
the slow transformation from weakness to strength, but crucially, it's fun. The drunken boxing style allows for physical comedy. Jackie staggers, falls, makes idiotic faces, and then suddenly executes devastating techniques. Audiences are laughing and gasping in the same breath.
They've never seen anything like it.
Martial arts films are supposed to be serious. This is irreverent, playful, and somehow more impressive because Jackie is doing everything for real. No wires, no tricks, just trained body and practiced falls. Drunken Master explodes, not just in Hong Kong but across Asia, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan. The film crosses cultural boundaries because physical comedy is universal. You don't need to speak Cantonese to understand Jackie's facial expressions. You don't need cultural context to appreciate someone doing a backflip while pretending to be drunk. It just works. Jackie is 24 years old. He's spent 17 years training and 7 years failing. And now finally, he's found it. The answer to what makes him special. Not being the toughest, not being the most skilled, but being willing to show vulnerability, being brave enough to look stupid.
Understanding that audiences don't want gods.
They want humans who do godlike things while remaining relatable. This is his path, and walking it will require breaking every bone in his body. Success tastes different when you've been hungry your entire life. For Jackie, Drunken Master's popularity doesn't bring relief. It brings pressure. Studios that ignored him 6 months ago are now offering contracts. Directors who dismissed him as a Bruce Lee knockoff want to work with him. Audiences who barely knew his name are lining up outside theaters, but Jackie knows something they don't. He knows this window is temporary.
Hong Kong cinema moves fast.
Today's sensation is tomorrow's has been. If he can't evolve, can't push the boundaries, someone younger and hungrier will replace him. The industry doesn't owe him loyalty. It owes him nothing except the opportunity to prove himself repeatedly until his body gives out or audiences lose interest. He forms the Jackie Chan stunt team officially. It's more than just hiring skilled performers. It's creating a family. Most of the team members are from similar backgrounds. Opera school survivors, poor kids who learned to throw their bodies around because they had no other marketable skills. Jackie understands them because he is them. He knows what drives someone to risk permanent injury for a few thousand Hong Kong dollars and a chance to be part of something bigger than surviving. The early days of the stunt team are chaotic. They're figuring out how to do things that haven't been done before. Traditional martial arts films rely on wirework, trampolines, camera tricks. Jackie wants audiences to see the reality. He wants wide shots that prove nobody is using wires. He wants takes that run long enough to show the physicality is genuine. He wants bloopers over the end credits that reveal the mistakes, the pain, the repeated attempts required to get each stunt right. This philosophy sounds noble, but it's brutal in practice. A typical Hollywood stunt might be attempted 3 or 4 times before they get a usable take. Jackie's team does 30 takes.
50 takes.
However many it requires for perfection. And every take means someone's body absorbing impact. Every failed attempt means another bruise, another strain, another micro-injury accumulating into long-term damage. The young master in 1980 breaks Hong Kong box office records. Jackie is the director now, not just the star. He's controlling every aspect of production, choreographing fights, designing stunts, pushing his team and himself towards something that feels revolutionary. The final fight sequence takes 4 months to shoot. 4 months of daily physical punishment. Jackie breaks bones.
Team members get concussions.
Everyone is running on painkillers and adrenaline and the shared belief that they're creating something that will outlast them. American studios come calling.
Hollywood wants Jackie.
They see the potential. An Asian star who can do his own stunts, who has legitimate martial arts skills, who can potentially crack the American market that Bruce Lee died before fully conquering. The offers are substantial. Life-changing money. The opportunity to work with major directors, massive budgets, global distribution. Jackie says yes.
He has to. This is the dream.
Hollywood is the summit. Every actor in Hong Kong fantasizes about American success. It's validation. Proof that you're not just regionally popular, but genuinely world-class. Jackie boards a plane to Los Angeles believing he's about to become an international superstar. The big brawl in 1980 is a disaster. American producers don't understand what makes Jackie special. They hire him because he can fight, then tell him to tone it down. They want him to be less physical, more accessible to American audiences who aren't used to authentic martial arts. They cast him in a period piece set in 1930s Chicago, a cultural context he doesn't understand. Delivering dialogue in English he's still learning, performing comedy that doesn't translate. The film fails. Not just commercially, but artistically. Critics are confused. Audiences stay away. Jackie watches his Hollywood dream evaporate. He's thousands of miles from home, working with people who see him as an exotic curiosity rather than a serious artist. And the result is something that satisfies nobody. The Cannonball Run in 1981 is worse. Jackie is essentially a prop. A small role in an ensemble comedy where he has maybe 10 minutes of screen time. He's not even playing a character. He's playing a stereotype. The film makes money because it stars Burt Reynolds and has a built-in American audience, but Jackie's contribution is negligible. He's reduced to doing pratfalls and speaking broken English for laughs. There's a night in a Los Angeles hotel room that Jackie will remember for the rest of his life. He's sitting on the edge of the bed, looking at his reflection in the mirror across from him.
In Hong Kong, he's a superstar.
Directors respect him.
Audiences love him.
He has creative control, financial security, genuine influence.
In America, he's nobody.
Just another Asian actor willing to debase himself for a paycheck, doing whatever white directors tell him to do, grateful for scraps. The realization is crushing. Hollywood doesn't want Jackie Chan. They want a trained monkey who can do backflips. They want Bruce Lee's physicality without his intensity. They want someone exotic enough to be interesting but safe enough not to threaten white audiences. Jackie doesn't fit any existing category. He's too comedic to be an action star, too physical to be just a comedian, too foreign to be truly American. He returns to Hong Kong defeated but determined. If Hollywood won't accept him on his terms, he'll build something so undeniable that they'll have no choice. He'll create films that transcend language barriers. He'll develop a visual style so distinctive that cultural context becomes irrelevant. He'll make his body the message because bodies speak universally. Project A in 1983 is Jackie's answer to Hollywood rejection. The film is set in 1920s Hong Kong, featuring Coast Guard officers fighting pirates. But the real story is Jackie's ambition crystallized into stunts that defy sanity. The centerpiece is a clock tower sequence directly inspired by Harold Lloyd's Safety Last from 1923. Jackie hangs from clock hands, falls through awnings, crashes to the ground from 40 feet up. No wires, no airbags,
no CGI because it doesn't exist yet.
Just Jackie Chan falling through 2 cloth awnings and hitting dirt. The first take fails. The awnings don't break properly. Jackie crashes through them wrong, nearly breaks his neck. The second take is the one that makes the film. He falls, breaks through the awnings, lands hard, and the cameras capture every moment. The impact knocks him unconscious. The crew thinks he might be dead. He wakes up, checks his bones, and says they need one more take as backup. This is the madness that defines Jackie's methodology. This is the obsession that separates him from every other action star. He's not content with good enough. He's not satisfied with safe. He wants shots that make audiences gasp, then immediately wonder how anyone survived filming it. The danger isn't incidental. It's essential. It's the point. Police Story in 1985 takes the insanity further. The opening features a car chase through a Hong Kong shanty town.
Real cars, real destruction.
Actual controlled chaos where team members are diving out of the way of vehicles, where property damage is calculated and accepted as part of the production budget. Jackie is driving, fighting, falling, all in single takes that prove he's not using stunt doubles. The film's climax involves Jackie sliding down a pole wrapped in live electrical lights. The setup is genuinely dangerous. The lights will explode on contact. The pole is metal, meaning excellent heat conductivity. Jackie will slide 40 feet, crash through a glass ceiling, and land on a floor covered in more breaking glass. The stunt team tries to talk him out of it. There are safer ways to shoot the sequence. They can use wires, do it in sections, protect him better. Jackie refuses. Safe looks fake. Audiences can tell when someone isn't really risking anything. The entire premise of his career is authenticity. If he starts compromising, starts choosing safety over spectacle, the magic disappears. People watch Jackie Chan films because they know what they're seeing is real. Take that away, and he's just another action star using stunt doubles and camera tricks. He does the stunt. The lights explode around him as planned. The heat is worse than expected.
He's burned. His back is searing.
He crashes through the glass ceiling and the pain is immediate and overwhelming. He lands wrong, compressing his spine, and something in his lower back gives way. The cameras keep rolling. Jackie stays in character. He finishes the fight sequence, even though every movement sends lightning through his nervous system. They rush him to the hospital after wrapping.
Second-degree burns across his back. Vertebrae compressed.
Soft tissue damage throughout his spine. Doctors say he needs surgery. Jackie refuses. Surgery means months of recovery.
Months of not working.
The film isn't finished. He loads up on painkillers, wraps his torso in bandages and returns to set 3 days later. This is when Jackie's addiction becomes clear. Not to painkillers, though he uses them constantly. Not to alcohol, though that helps sometimes. He's addicted to the work, to proving himself. To that moment when audiences react with simultaneous horror and delight. He's chasing the high of doing something people think is impossible and making it look easy, or at least making it look survivable. His wife, Lin Fengjiao, begs him to stop. They married in 1982, kept it secret because Hong Kong audiences prefer their stars single and available. She's an actress herself. She understands the industry, but she doesn't understand why Jackie needs to nearly die for every film. They have money now, security, options. He could direct, produce, mentor younger performers. He doesn't need to be the one jumping off buildings, but Jackie does need it, in ways he can't fully articulate even to himself. Every death-defying stunt is a conversation with Master Yu, proving he survived the opera school and emerged stronger.
Every broken bone is evidence he's tougher than the poverty that almost erased him before he turned one.
Every moment of making audiences laugh while destroying his body is transforming the pain of his childhood into something purposeful. He can't stop.
Won't stop.
The question isn't whether he'll keep doing increasingly dangerous stunts. The question is how far he can push before his body permanently breaks or his luck finally runs out. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Jackie wonders if he even wants to know the answer. Because stopping means facing who he is without the stunts, without the proof, without the constant physical validation that he matters, that he's special, that the suffering means something beyond just surviving. Police Story establishes Jackie as Hong Kong's undisputed box office king, The film makes 30 million Hong Kong dollars, astronomical for 1985. More importantly, it establishes a template. Jackie's films now have a signature. Impossible stunts performed with visible authenticity. Comedy integrated seamlessly into action. A working-class hero audiences can relate to despite his superhuman physicality. And always, always, those end-credit bloopers showing the pain behind the spectacle. The blooper reels become as important as the films themselves. Audiences stay through the credits to watch Jackie and his team fail, to see bones break, to witness the 20th take of a stunt that almost worked 19 times. These aren't deleted scenes. They're evidence, proof that everything you just watched required genuine sacrifice, that the entertainment you consumed came at a cost measured in blood and fractured ribs and concussions. Jackie studies this phenomenon. Why do audiences love watching him fail? Why does showing vulnerability make him more popular rather than less? The answer reveals something profound about human psychology. People don't worship perfection. They admire struggle. They connect with someone who tries, fails, gets hurt, and tries again. Jackie's blooper reels are showing audiences that heroism isn't about succeeding effortlessly. It's about refusing to quit despite pain. This understanding influences how he choreographs fights. Traditional martial arts cinema shows fighters as invincible until the plot requires them to lose. Jackie's characters get hit. They stumble. They run away when outmatched. They use whatever's available to survive rather than relying on superior technique. A ladder becomes a weapon because Jackie's character isn't skilled enough to fight 10 opponents at once. Environmental comedy emerges from desperation, not confidence. Watch any Jackie Chan fight sequence from this era and you'll see a pattern. His character tries something.
It fails, he improvises.
The improvisation is funny, but it also works. Audiences laugh at his desperation while simultaneously impressed by his creativity. The comedy and action aren't separate. They're the same thing viewed from different angles. Fear expressed through physical ingenuity. Panic transformed into entertainment. Jackie is also learning from Hollywood despite his failures there. American action cinema in the 1980s is dominated by muscle-bound invincible heroes, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Norris. These actors represent a kind of masculinity that Jackie can never embody. He's not 6 feet tall. He doesn't have bulging biceps. He can't deliver threatening one-liners in English with the authority of a native speaker. Everything about American action cinema is designed for performers, unlike Jackie. But he notices something. American stunt work is becoming increasingly dependent on special effects. Quick cuts.
Shaky cameras. Obviously fake punches.
Audiences are becoming sophisticated enough to recognize the tricks. There's a hunger for authenticity that Hollywood is failing to satisfy. Jackie realizes this is his competitive advantage. He can give audiences what American action stars cannot. Visible, undeniable, genuinely dangerous physical performance. He also studies silent film comedians more intensely. Buster Keaton becomes a particular obsession. Keaton performed his own stunts in the 1920s, doing things that would be illegal today.
Falling from buildings, nearly drowning.
Almost getting decapitated by train wheels. And through it all, maintaining the same deadpan expression that made the danger seem simultaneously real and absurd. Jackie recognizes a spiritual predecessor. Keaton was using his body to communicate emotions that transcended language. Comedy, fear, determination, triumph, all expressed through physical action rather than dialogue. Jackie starts incorporating more Keaton-inspired elements. The reactive face he makes when something goes wrong. The elaborate chase sequences that become increasingly absurd. The refusal to cut away from stunts, trusting that audiences want to see everything. Harold Lloyd's influence shows up in Jackie's building-based stunts. Lloyd famously hung from clock towers and skyscraper ledges in the 1920s, creating images so iconic they still define silent comedy.
Jackie isn't copying.
He's continuing a tradition. He's showing modern audiences that the human body interacting with architecture can create spectacle that no amount of CGI can replicate. There's something primal about watching someone genuinely hanging from a building. Our bodies understand the danger in ways our brains cannot intellectually dismiss. Charlie Chaplin's contribution is subtler. Chaplin transformed poverty and struggle into comedy without making fun of suffering. His tramp character was dignified despite his circumstances,
Found joy despite hardship.
maintained humanity despite a world determined to crush him. Jackie channels this in his characters. They're usually working class,
Often mistreated by authority figures.
always underestimated, but they persevere. They find clever solutions. They win not through superior strength, but through creativity and determination. The Jackie Chan stunt team is maturing into something unprecedented. These aren't just stunt performers.
They're artists collaborating on a shared vision.
Mars, a former boxer, specializes in taking devastating falls. Ken Lo, a team member who will later become one of Jackie's greatest on-screen opponents, has a background in Taekwondo and can deliver kicks that look lethal. Brad Allen, one of the few Western members, brings a different physical style that allows for interesting contrasts. They develop a choreography process that's more like jazz improvisation than traditional filmmaking. Jackie will have a basic idea for a fight. They'll spend days in the studio trying variations. Someone will suggest using a chair differently. Another person will find an interesting way to incorporate the environment. Gradually, through trial and error and accumulated bruises, a sequence emerges.
Then they spend weeks perfecting it.
Timing it to the frame, making sure every hit looks devastating while minimizing actual injury. Minimizing, not eliminating.
Injury is inevitable.
The team accepts this. They have traditional Chinese medicine doctors on retainer, acupuncturists, physical therapists, ice baths, herbal treatments, everything necessary to keep bodies functioning past their natural breaking points. Between films, team members heal. During films, they endure. Jackie's approach to stunts evolves. He's not just asking how to make something look dangerous. He's asking how to make it meaningful. Every major stunt needs to serve the story. The clock tower fall in Project A happens because his character is desperately trying to escape. The glass slide in Police Story happens because he's chasing criminals and can't let them escape. The danger emerges from character decisions, not arbitrary spectacle. This narrative integration makes the stunts emotionally resonant. Audiences aren't watching Jackie risk his life for no reason. They're watching a character so committed to his goals that he'll do anything to achieve them. The stunts become expressions of character. When Jackie's police officer slides down that light-covered pole, he's not showing off. He's making a choice that physical pain matters less than catching criminals. The stunt has dramatic weight beyond its visceral impact. Armor of God in 1986 pushes everything further.
Bigger budget.
International locations.
More elaborate action sequences.
Jackie is filming in Yugoslavia, attempting a jump from a wall to a tree branch. Simple stunt by his standards. He's done hundreds of similar jumps. The cameras are rolling. He jumps, the branch breaks. He falls 15 feet and hits his head on a rock. Skull fracture. Brain exposed. Emergency surgery in a Yugoslavian hospital where doctors speak languages Jackie doesn't understand. They drill into his skull to relieve pressure. Remove bone fragments from his brain.
He's in a coma for 3 weeks.
His team is told to prepare for the worst. Even if he wakes up, brain damage is likely. He might not walk again, might not speak properly.
Might not be Jackie Chan anymore. When Jackie wakes up, his first question is about the footage. Did they get the shot?
Can they use it? The doctors and his team are stunned.
He nearly died.
He has a permanent hole in his skull that will never fully heal. He's lost hearing in his right ear.
And he's asking about the movie.
This is beyond dedication. This is something approaching pathology. An inability to exist outside the context of performance and risk. Recovery takes months.
Real months, not the few days he's taken for lesser injuries.
Jackie has to relearn balance. His coordination is affected. Headaches are constant. But gradually, stubbornly, he forces his body to comply. Physical therapy, meditation, refusing to accept limitations. The doctors say he's lucky to be alive. Jackie hears this and thinks about how to incorporate the experience into his next film, because that's what he does. Every injury becomes material. Every near-death experience becomes something he can reference, can use to make audiences gasp. His body is becoming a living record of his career. You can map his filmography through his scars. The broken nose from an early fight sequence. The permanently damaged ankle from a mistimed fall. The skull that now has a synthetic plate. Each mark tells a story. Each scar is evidence. His wife visits him during recovery. She's pregnant with their son. She begs him to retire.
They have enough money.
He's proven everything he needs to prove. Their child should have a father who can walk properly, who doesn't have permanent brain damage, who might live long enough to meet grandchildren. Jackie listens, nods, agrees that she's right.
And then starts planning his next film. He can't stop.
The stunts are how he communicates.
They're his language, his art form.
The thing that makes sense when nothing else does. Talking about feelings is impossible. Examining his childhood trauma is too painful. But jumping off a building? That's simple.
That's pure.
That's something he understands completely. The fear before the jump. The commitment once you're airborne. The impact that either kills you or doesn't. There's clarity in that moment that he can't find anywhere else. The industry watches Jackie's recovery and draws conclusions. Some see a cautionary tale, a warning that nobody can defy physics forever. Others see confirmation of what makes him special. He survived something that should have killed him. He's getting back on set 6 months after brain surgery. If anything, the near-death experience seems to have strengthened his resolve, made him more determined to push boundaries, more certain that his path requires risking everything. Jackie starts filming again in 1987, moving slower. Coordination not quite perfect, but refusing to let anyone notice weakness. He's back. By 1988, Jackie Chan owns Hong Kong cinema in a way few performers ever dominate an entire industry. His films consistently break box office records. Studios build entire release schedules around his projects. Competitors either try to copy his style or avoid releasing films anywhere near his opening weekends. He's not just a star, he's a genre unto himself. Police Story 2 arrives in theaters and becomes the highest-grossing Hong Kong film of 1988. Jackie is playing the same character, but the stunts are more elaborate. The risks are higher. There's a sequence involving a playground where Jackie gets thrown through structures designed for children.
Metal poles, concrete, sharp edges everywhere.
He lands wrong during one take and dislocates his shoulder. They pop it back in and keep filming. The pain is extraordinary but manageable with enough medication. This is the trap success creates. Each film needs to outdo the previous one. Audiences expect escalation. They've seen Jackie fall from 40 feet. Now they want 50 feet.
They've watched him get thrown through glass.
Now they want him thrown through glass while on fire. The spectacle arms race is unsustainable, but Jackie can't see that yet.
He's at the peak. Everything is working.
Why would he question the formula that brought him here? His production company, Golden Way Films, gives him unprecedented control. He directs, choreographs, stars, and has final cut on everything. No studio interference. No compromises forced by executives who don't understand physical comedy. This freedom is intoxicating. Jackie can pursue his vision without limitation. If he wants to spend 4 months perfecting a single fight sequence, nobody stops him. If he wants to do a stunt that terrifies insurance adjusters, he just won't tell them until after it's filmed. Dragons Forever in 1988 reunites Jackie with Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao. The 3 opera school brothers together again, all of them now established stars. The chemistry is immediate and obvious.
They know each other's rhythms.
Can anticipate movements. The fights they choreograph together have a fluidity that Jackie's other films sometimes lack because these men literally grew up trading punches. They know exactly how hard they can hit without causing serious damage. They trust each other completely. The film does well, but not as exceptionally as Jackie's solo projects. There's a realization buried in this outcome. Audiences are coming for Jackie specifically. They love Samo and Yuen Biao, but Jackie is the draw. His particular blend of vulnerability and fearlessness resonates in ways other performers can't replicate. This should be empowering knowledge. Instead, it increases the pressure. If success depends entirely on him, then every film's fate rests on his shoulders. Every stunt needs to be more impressive. Every performance needs to top the last. Hollywood comes calling again, this time with different offers. American studios have finally figured out what went wrong before. They were trying to make Jackie fit American templates. Now they want to build projects around what makes him unique. The pitches sound promising.
Real budgets, major distribution,
Creative input. Everything suggests this attempt might actually work, but Jackie hesitates.
Hollywood already burned him twice.
The big brawl made him look incompetent. The Cannonball Run reduced him to a stereotype. He's spent years rebuilding his reputation in Hong Kong, establishing himself as a serious filmmaker who happens to do comedy. Does he really want to risk that again? Does he want to be a small fish in America when he's a shark in Asia? The decision weighs on him throughout 1989. He's making Miracles, his most ambitious film yet. Period piece set in 1930s Hong Kong, massive budget, elaborate sets.
Hundreds of extras.
Jackie is trying to prove he's not just an action star, but a legitimate director capable of handling complex narratives and emotional depth. The film features his signature action, but it's also trying to be more. A prestige picture that happens to include death-defying stunts. Miracles becomes the most expensive Asian film ever made. At that point, the budget spirals. Jackie is perfecting every detail. The action sequences are spectacular as expected, but he's equally focused on costume design, set decoration, cinematography. He wants critics to take him seriously. He wants respect beyond box office numbers. He wants to be seen as an artist, not just a human stunt machine. The film is beautiful, genuinely impressive from a technical standpoint. Jackie's direction shows sophistication most action directors never develop. But audiences are confused. They came for Jackie Chan's stunts and got a gangster drama that happens to have some action. The film underperforms. Not a disaster, but disappointing given the investment. Critics appreciate the ambition, but wonder why Jackie is fighting against his strengths instead of embracing them. This is Jackie's first real professional failure in years.
Everything he's touched since Drunken Master has succeeded.
Now, suddenly he's made an expensive film that audiences don't particularly want to see. The reviews are respectful but not enthusiastic. Industry insiders start whispering that maybe Jackie has peaked. Maybe he's losing touch with what audiences want. Maybe trying to be a serious filmmaker is a mistake when he should just focus on action comedy. Jackie takes this harder than any physical injury. Broken bones heal. Failed artistic ambitions cut deeper. He wanted to prove he was more than stunts. Instead, he's proven that audiences prefer him to stay in his lane. The message is clear and humiliating. Don't try to grow. Don't attempt anything beyond what you're already known for. Just keep breaking your body in increasingly spectacular ways and be grateful people still care. Late 1989 finds Jackie questioning everything. He's 35 years old. His body is accumulating damage faster than it can heal. He's rich beyond anything his childhood self could have imagined. He's famous across Asia, and he's trapped by audience expectations, trapped by his own success, trapped by the knowledge that the only thing he's truly exceptional at requires destroying himself incrementally until nothing's left. His son, JC, is born in 1982, but Jackie barely knows him. The marriage to Lin Fengjiao remains secret. He maintains a public image of being single and available. The deception is necessary for his career, but corrosive to his family life. He's absent for months at a time, always filming, always chasing the next stunt. When he's home, he's recovering from injuries or planning the next project. Being a present father requires emotional availability Jackie simply doesn't have. The tension between public success and private emptiness grows.
Millions of people love Jackie Chan, the performer.
They admire his courage. They laugh at his comedy. They gasp at his stunts, but they don't know him. The real him. The scared kid who was almost sold for $26. The teenager who got beaten daily for a decade. The man who doesn't know how to exist without pain to process, without audiences to please, without proof that he's valuable. He starts having conversations with older action stars, people who've been through similar trajectories. They all tell him the same thing. The body gives out eventually. The audience moves on. You need to transition before you're forced to. Become a producer, a director, a mentor. Step back from doing your own stunts. Let younger performers take over. Preserve what's left of your health. Jackie listens and nods and completely ignores the advice. Because what they're suggesting is surrender, admitting that age and physics eventually win, accepting limitations, choosing safety over authenticity, everything that contradicts what makes Jackie Chan special. He's not special because he's a good martial artist. Thousands of people have better technique.
He's not special because he's a good comedian. Plenty of performers are funnier.
He's special because he's willing to risk everything. Take that away, and he's just another middle-aged action star with a broken body and fading relevance. Project A, Part 2 in 1987. Twin Dragons in 1992, City Hunter in 1993. The films keep coming, the stunts keep escalating. Jackie is running on momentum now, maintaining the pace because stopping means confronting questions he's not ready to answer. What happens when he can't do this anymore? Who is Jackie Chan if not the guy who jumps off buildings? Where does all the accumulated pain go if it's not being transformed into entertainment? His stunt team is aging with him. The original members are in their 30s and 40s. They have families, children, mortgages, chronic injuries that never quite heal. Some are starting to retire, moving into choreography or production roles where they don't have to throw their bodies around daily. Jackie watches them leave and feels betrayed, even though he knows it's irrational.
They gave him everything.
Years of loyalty and broken bones. They've earned the right to stop, but their departure means bringing in younger team members who don't have the same shared history.
Who didn't survive opera school.
Who view working with Jackie as a job rather than a calling. The new guys are skilled and brave, but something's different. The unspoken understanding that came from shared trauma isn't there. Jackie finds himself explaining things that Sammo and Yuen Biao would have understood intuitively. He's becoming isolated, famous beyond measure but fundamentally alone. The public Jackie Chan is confident, funny, seemingly invincible. The private Jackie is exhausted, injured, questioning whether any of this means what he thought it meant. Success was supposed to feel different. Achievement was supposed to provide satisfaction.
Instead, he's just tired. Constantly, profoundly tired.
Not from physical exertion, from the emotional weight of maintaining the performance, from pretending that breaking his body repeatedly is noble rather than pathological. There's a night in 1993 where Jackie sits in his Hong Kong apartment, ice packs on his knees, painkillers in his system, watching all Buster Keaton films. He's trying to recapture whatever inspired him originally, trying to remember why he thought this path was worth walking. Keaton died at 70, his body destroyed by decades of stunts, never achieved the massive success he deserved, spent his later years as a forgotten relic of silent cinema.
Is that Jackie's future?
Broken and obsolete, remembered fondly, but no longer relevant? The question terrifies him more than any stunt.
He can face death.
He's done it repeatedly. But irrelevance?
Obsolescence?
The idea that audiences might stop caring?
That's a different kind of mortality.
The death of purpose, the end of meaning. Everything he's suffered only matters if people keep watching. If the entertainment stops resonating, then what was the point of all those broken bones?
Hollywood calls again in 1993. Another chance.
Another promise that this time will be different. Jackie is older now.
More cautious.
But also more desperate. Hong Kong is approaching the 1997 handover to China. The future of the territory's film industry is uncertain. Many people are leaving, securing foreign citizenship.
Hedging against political instability.
Maybe America isn't just an artistic opportunity. Maybe it's an escape route. A way to remain relevant as the world he knows dissolves. The mid-1990s find Jackie caught between two worlds. He's still making films in Hong Kong, still performing stunts that terrify insurance companies, still maintaining his reputation as the territory's biggest action star. But he's also negotiating with Hollywood studios, taking meetings with American producers, trying to figure out how to translate what makes him special into a format that will work in suburban American multiplexes. Rumble in the Bronx changes everything. Released in Asia in 1995, then picked up for American distribution by New Line Cinema, the film becomes Jackie's genuine breakthrough in the United States. Not because it's his best work, it's not. Not because the stunts are more impressive than previous films. They're spectacular but not unprecedented by Jackie's standards. It works because timing is finally right. American audiences in the mid-1990s are exhausted by muscle-bound invincible heroes. Schwarzenegger and Stallone are starting to feel dated. Their films are increasingly cartoonish, disconnected from any recognizable reality. Action cinema has become so dependent on special effects and quick cuts that actual physicality has almost disappeared. Into this vacuum comes Jackie Chan doing things that look impossible but are demonstrably real. The American marketing campaign for Rumble in the Bronx is brilliant in its simplicity. They show Jackie's stunts, wide shots, long takes, end credit bloopers proving everything is authentic. No wires, no CGI, no stunt doubles. Just Jackie Chan throwing his actual body into situations that should kill him. American audiences raised on heavily edited action sequences are stunned. This is what action used to look like before computers took over. This is what real, physical prowess can accomplish. But here's what the marketing doesn't show. During filming, Jackie breaks his ankle attempting a jump from a parking garage roof to a balcony. It's a stunt he's calculated carefully. The distance is manageable. The landing area is prepared.
Everything should work.
He jumps, he lands wrong.
His ankle snaps.
The sound is audible on set. Everyone knows immediately it's a serious injury. Most productions would shut down, send the star to the hospital, postpone filming until he's healed. Jackie refuses.
They're on location.
The shoot is expensive. Delays will cost money and possibly kill the film's momentum. He goes to the hospital, gets x-rays confirming the fracture, and returns to set. They cut a sneaker open, slide it over his cast, and keep filming. Every shot where Jackie is running, jumping, fighting includes a broken ankle hidden inside modified footwear. Watch Rumble in the Bronx knowing this, and you see something remarkable. Jackie isn't limping, isn't favoring the injured leg. The performance doesn't change. He's internalized pain so completely that a fractured ankle doesn't register as an obstacle. It's just another sensation to push through. Another reminder that the body is a tool, not something to coddle. This is what 2 decades of injuries have created. A man whose relationship with pain is so distorted that broken bones barely slow him down. The film makes over $30 million in the United States. Modest by blockbuster standards, but extraordinary for a foreign action film starring someone American audiences barely know. More importantly, it proves Jackie can work in America without compromising what makes him special. The film is dubbed into English, set in New York despite being filmed in Vancouver, riddled with continuity errors and cultural confusion.
None of it matters.
Audiences respond to Jackie's physicality. The comedy translates. The vulnerability resonates. He's cracked the code. Hollywood studios immediately start bidding for Jackie's next project. This time, they're not trying to change him. They want to build around his strengths. New Line Cinema proposes a buddy cop comedy pairing Jackie with an American comedian. The pitch is simple. Jackie does his usual physical comedy and action. The American partner provides verbal comedy and cultural translation for Western audiences. Together, they create something that works in both markets. Rush Hour goes into development in 1997. The script pairs Jackie with Chris Tucker, a comedian whose motor-mouth energy contrasts perfectly with Jackie's physical expressiveness. The chemistry is obvious from the first table read. Tucker talks constantly. Jackie barely speaks. Tucker is loud and aggressive. Jackie is quiet and precise. The dynamic works because they're not competing. They're complementing each other's strengths, but the production is challenging for Jackie. American filmmaking operates differently than Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, Jackie has total creative control. He choreographs action sequences over weeks or months, trying variations until something feels right. American productions work on schedules.
Union rules, budget constraints.
Directors who aren't comfortable letting their star improvise elaborate fight sequences without storyboards and pre-approval. Brett Ratner, directing Rush Hour, is smart enough to recognize Jackie's expertise. He gives Jackie freedom to choreograph his own fights. Trusts that someone who's been doing this for 30 years knows more about physical comedy than any Hollywood director could. But there are still compromises. Stunts that are too dangerous for American insurance. Action sequences that need to be shortened for pacing. Jackie's perfectionist tendencies clashing with production realities. There's a sequence where Jackie fights in a museum. He's using artifacts and exhibits as props, sliding across floors, swinging from installations. The choreography is vintage Jackie Chan, but the American crew is nervous. These are real museum pieces. Liability is enormous. They want to do more takes in controlled conditions, use stunt doubles for dangerous moments, protect themselves from lawsuits. Jackie is frustrated. This cautiousness is antithetical to everything that makes his action work. The danger has to be real for audiences to feel it.
Overprotection makes everything look fake.
He's trying to explain through translators and cultural barriers that authenticity is non-negotiable, that his entire career is built on audiences trusting that what they're seeing is genuine. Take that away, and he's just another action star in a market already oversaturated with them. They find compromises. Jackie does the stunts his way but signs additional liability waivers. The American crew learns to work faster, allowing more takes for complex choreography. Ratner learns to trust Jackie's instincts. When Jackie says a stunt will work, it works. When he says they need another take, they need another take. The hierarchy adjusts. Jackie isn't just the star. He's the action director. His judgment on physical sequences is final. Rush Hour releases in 1998 and becomes a massive hit. Over $200 million worldwide. Suddenly, Jackie isn't just a niche action star who appeals to martial arts enthusiasts. He's a mainstream Hollywood commodity. The film spawns sequels, licensing deals, endorsements. Jackie is finally achieving in America what Bruce Lee never lived to accomplish. Genuine crossover success. Recognition as both an action star and a comedian. Acceptance without having to dilute his fundamental identity. But success creates new pressures. American fame operates differently than Asian celebrity. The scrutiny is more intense. Media is more invasive. Privacy is harder to maintain. Jackie's secret marriage becomes increasingly difficult to hide as American tabloids start investigating his personal life. His arrangement with Lin Fengjiao worked in Hong Kong, where local media respected certain boundaries. American entertainment journalism has no such restraints. There are also questions about age. Jackie is 44 when Rush Hour releases.
Old by action star standards?
American audiences might accept him now, but how long can he maintain this? Hollywood has no patience for aging performers who can't deliver. The industry chews people up and discards them the moment they stop being profitable. Jackie has maybe 5 years of viability left if he's lucky, maybe less if his body finally gives out. He starts training differently, not just martial arts and acrobatics.
Weight training.
Cardiovascular conditioning. Flexibility work. Physical therapy becomes a daily requirement rather than injury response. He's fighting age and accumulated damage simultaneously, trying to convince his body to function like it's 25 when it's actually 44, and has absorbed decades of punishment. Some days everything works. Other days he wakes up and can barely move. The insurance battles intensify. American productions require comprehensive coverage. But Jackie's injury history makes him essentially uninsurable through normal channels. His production company has to self-insure or negotiate special arrangements with Lloyd's of London. The premiums are astronomical. Each film requires detailed medical examinations. Doctors documenting every pre-existing injury, every healed fracture, every permanent impairment. The list is pages long. Jackie jokes about it in interviews, talks about his body as a medical textbook.
How many bones broken? How many surgeries?
The permanent hearing loss, the skull plate. He makes it sound light-hearted, funny, the brave warrior showing battle scars. But alone looking at the medical reports, the reality is sobering. His body is held together by scar tissue and determination.
Most of the damage is permanent.
Some will worsen as he ages. There are injuries that will cause pain for the rest of his life. Shanghai Noon in 2000 pairs Jackie with Owen Wilson in another buddy comedy formula. The film is successful, proving Rush Hour wasn't a fluke. Jackie can work in the American system, can carry Hollywood productions, but he's also feeling the constraints. American action is softer than Hong Kong action, more concerned with safety, less willing to push boundaries. The stunts Jackie is doing in Hollywood films are impressive by American standards, but tame compared to his Hong Kong work. He starts thinking about legacy. What happens when he can't perform anymore? What will people remember? Does he want to be known only for stunts? Is there something more substantial he should be building? These questions have been lurking for years.
Now they're becoming urgent.
Jackie is at the peak of his Hollywood fame, but peaks don't last. The descent is inevitable. How he manages that descent will determine how he's remembered. His stunt team in America is different from his Hong Kong crew, more professional, better paid, but lacking the personal connection. These are hired specialists doing a job. They're good at it. Some are excellent, but they don't have the shared history.
Didn't grow up together. Haven't been bleeding together for decades.
The work feels more transactional, less like family and more like employment. Jackie misses Hong Kong, the freedom, the pace, the ability to spend months perfecting a sequence without studio executives demanding explanations. Hollywood success is validating but constraining. He's more famous than ever, making more money than seemed possible, living the dream that brought him to Los Angeles 20 years ago. And somehow it feels hollow. Success was supposed to satisfy. Instead, it just raised new questions about purpose and meaning and whether any of this matters beyond making audiences gasp and laugh for 90 minutes. There's a moment during Rush Hour 2 production where Jackie is hanging from a bamboo scaffold in a sequence set in Hong Kong. It's supposed to be a callback to his Hong Kong films, a reminder of where he came from. The scaffold sways. Jackie's grip is slipping. It's genuinely dangerous. The American crew is panicking. Jackie is calm. This is familiar.
This is home.
This is what his body understands better than anything else. The fear, the commitment, the moment where everything could go wrong.
And then it doesn't. He completes the stunt, lands safely, walks away, and feels more alive than he has in months. That's when he realizes
The stunts aren't just his career. They're his drug, his therapy, his way of processing everything he can't verbalize. Every death-defying moment is a conversation with his childhood,
proving he survived.
proving he's strong enough, proving the pain had meaning.
He's not doing this for audiences anymore.
He's doing it for himself.
Because stopping means facing the silence.
The accumulated trauma, the fundamental question of who he is without the performance. The early 2000s bring a strange duality to Jackie's existence. Professionally, he's more successful than at any previous point in his career. Rush Hour 2 makes over $300 million worldwide. Shanghai Nights performs well. He's getting offers for major American productions, endorsement deals worth millions, global recognition that transcends cultural boundaries. Magazines put him on covers. Talk shows compete for interviews. He's achieved everything his younger self dreamed about. Personally, he's fragmenting. The secret marriage to Lin Fengjiao finally becomes public in 1999. After 17 years of hiding the relationship, maintaining the fiction that he's single for his fans, the truth emerges. Audience reactions are mixed. Some fans feel betrayed. Others appreciate his honesty. But the damage to his family is already done. His son JC barely knows him. Years of absence, of choosing career over presence, have created distance that might be irreparable. Then in 1999, another revelation. Elaine Ng, a Hong Kong beauty queen, announces she's pregnant with Jackie's child from an affair. The news detonates across Asian media. Jackie admits to the relationship,
Acknowledges the pregnancy.
but refuses to claim the child as his own. The scandal is enormous. His carefully maintained image as a hard-working, humble performer crashes against the reality of infidelity and abandonment. The daughter, Etta Ng, grows up without a father. Jackie provides no financial support, no acknowledgement beyond the initial admission that the affair happened. It's a brutal echo of his own childhood. His parents almost sold him because they couldn't afford another mouth to feed. Now Jackie, wealthy beyond measure, is refusing to support his own daughter. The pattern repeats. Trauma unprocessed becomes trauma inflicted. He tries to explain in interviews. The relationships were mistakes. His focus needed to be on his career. He wasn't ready to be a father. The excuses sound hollow, even as he's saying them. The truth is simpler and darker. Jackie doesn't know how to be a father because he never had one. His own dad was largely absent, working constantly, emotionally distant. Master Yu was a brutal taskmaster, not a nurturing presence. Jackie has no template for healthy fatherhood, only absence and violence and the understanding that love requires endurance of pain. His work becomes refuge from personal chaos.
On set, everything makes sense.
There are rules, hierarchies, clear objectives.
Execute the stunt. Make the audience laugh.
Deliver the performance. These are problems with solutions. Family dynamics, emotional complexity, the messy reality of relationships. Those are territories Jackie has no map for navigating, so he stays on set.
Keeps working.
Buries himself in the one thing he knows how to do well. The Tuxedo in 2002 and The Medallion in 2003 are commercial disappointments. Both attempt to blend Jackie's physical comedy with Hollywood special effects. The results feel confused. Audiences come to Jackie Chan films for authentic stunts, not CGI-enhanced impossibilities. When Jackie relies on digital effects, he loses what makes him special. The films still make money on his name recognition, but the critical reception is poor. Industry insiders start whispering that maybe Jackie's Hollywood moment is passing. Around the World in 80 Days in 2004 is a bigger budget gamble that fails even harder. The film costs over $110 million and makes back less than $75 million worldwide. It's a disaster. Jackie's role is essentially a supporting part despite his star billing. The production is troubled. The marketing is confused.
American audiences don't turn up.
Even Jackie's Asian fan base isn't interested enough to save the film. This is the moment Jackie realizes he's not immune to Hollywood's brutal economics. He spent years believing his unique skills made him irreplaceable. But Hollywood doesn't care about irreplaceable. It cares about profitable. If you stop making money, you stop getting offers. The industry moves on. Younger performers take your place. You become a cautionary tale about hubris and miscalculation. He's 50 years old.
His body is a disaster.
Chronic pain is constant. The accumulated injuries are creating cascading problems. Damaged joints cause compensatory movement patterns that damage other joints. The spinal compression from years of hard landings is creating nerve issues. His hearing continues to deteriorate. The headaches from the skull fracture never fully went away. Some mornings he needs 40 minutes of stretching and medication before he can move normally. But stopping isn't an option. What would Jackie Chan be without the stunts?
Who is he beyond the performance?
These questions terrify him more than any physical danger. The stunts give him purpose, identity, proof of value. Take them away, and he's just another middle-aged man with broken relationships, estranged children, and decades of unprocessed trauma. The physical pain is manageable. The existential pain would be unbearable. New Police Story in 2004 marks a turning point. The film is darker than Jackie's typical work. His character is a broken cop dealing with PTSD, alcoholism, and failure. It's the first time Jackie is playing someone fundamentally damaged, not physically damaged, which his characters often are, but psychologically destroyed. The performance requires emotional vulnerability Jackie hasn't accessed before. Filming the emotional scenes is harder than any stunt. Jackie has spent his life showing pain physically while hiding it emotionally.
Now the script requires him to cry.
To show weakness beyond physical vulnerability, to embody despair. He struggles.
Takes after take where the emotion won't come.
Finally, the director asks him to think about real pain, real loss, real moments where he felt broken. Jackie thinks about his daughter Etta, about choosing career over family, about his son JC growing up essentially fatherless, about the childhood he never properly mourned, about Master Yu's cruelty that he rationalized as necessary rather than processing as abuse. The tears come. The performance works. The film is a critical and commercial success. But Jackie leaves the production emotionally exhausted in ways physical shoots never accomplish. The experience raises uncomfortable questions. If he can access emotional depth in performance, why can't he access it in real life?
Why can he cry on camera but not in therapy?
Why can he show vulnerability to millions of strangers but not to his own children? The disconnect is obvious and troubling. Jackie has spent decades developing emotional armor so effective that he can't remove it even when he wants to. He starts thinking about legacy more seriously.
What will he be remembered for? The stunts, obviously.
The films, certainly. But is there something more meaningful he could contribute? Some way to transform all this accumulated pain and experience into something that helps others rather than just entertaining them? The questions don't have easy answers, but they're becoming increasingly urgent. Rob B. Hood, in 2006, puts Jackie in a comedy about thieves who kidnap a baby. The premise allows him to explore paternal themes through safe comedic distance. His character learns to care for a child despite having no nurturing instincts. It's uncomfortably close to Jackie's real life. The film does well in Asia, but barely registers in America. The Hollywood moment is clearly over. American audiences have moved on to the next thing. Jackie is yesterday's crossover sensation. Part of him is relieved. The Hollywood success was validating but exhausting, constantly negotiating cultural differences, working with crews who didn't understand his methods, compromising on stunts for insurance purposes, missing the freedom of Hong Kong productions where he controlled everything. American failure paradoxically liberates him.
Now he can go home.
Return to making films his way without worrying about American box office performance. But going home means confronting Hong Kong's changes. The film industry isn't what it was. Many productions have moved to mainland China. The old studio system has collapsed. Many of his contemporaries have retired or died. The city itself feels different after the 1997 handover.
Less wild, more controlled.
The streets where young Jackie learned to survive are now sanitized tourist attractions. The opera school is gone. The theaters where he became famous have been demolished and replaced with shopping malls. He's experiencing what every aging performer faces. The world moved on. The context that made sense of your life has dissolved. You're left standing in a place that looks familiar but functions differently. The rules changed while you were busy working. Now you're trying to navigate new realities with outdated maps. Jackie starts focusing on mainland Chinese productions. The market is enormous and growing. Chinese audiences still love him, see him as representing something valuable: pride, resilience, connection to Hong Kong's golden age. He's not yesterday's news there. He's an elder statesman, someone whose opinion matters, whose presence elevates projects. It's different than being the hottest star, but it has dignity, purpose, meaning beyond box office numbers. The Forbidden Kingdom in 2008 pairs Jackie with Jet Li. It's the first time these two legends work together despite decades of both being top martial arts stars. The production is surreal. Two men who defined action cinema in different ways, finally sharing screen time. Their fight sequences are more about honoring each other's styles than competing. There's mutual respect, recognition that they're both survivors of the same brutal industry. Working with Jet Li makes Jackie reflect on their different approaches. Jet is graceful, precise, almost supernaturally smooth. His movements look effortless, superhuman. Jackie is scrappier, more grounded, visibly working hard for every technique. Jet embodies invincibility. Jackie embodies perseverance. Both approaches work, but they communicate different ideas about heroism, different philosophies about what action cinema should express. Between takes, they talk about bodies,
About injuries.
about the toll this career takes. Jet has his own catalogue of permanent damage. Different specifics, but same fundamental reality. You can't do what they've done without paying in flesh and bone. The question isn't whether you'll be injured. It's whether the injuries will allow you to continue working. Jackie is 54 during the Forbidden Kingdom production. He's slowing down in ways he can't fully hide anymore. The falls hurt more. Recovery takes longer. His timing is still excellent, but the explosive speed is gone. He compensates with experience and technique, but compensation has limits. The body is sending clear signals. The margin for error is shrinking. One bad fall at this age could end everything. His stunt team is mostly younger performers now. The original guys are gone, retired or moved into production roles or too damaged to continue. The new team is skilled but doesn't have the same loyalty. They're working for Jackie Chan the brand, not Jackie Chan the person. The emotional connection that made his earlier work feel like family has become a professional arrangement. Everyone's still friendly, but it's different. More business. Less brotherhood. Jackie starts thinking about what comes after performing. He's accumulated wealth, owns production companies,
Has investments. Money isn't the issue.
purpose is the issue. Identity is the issue. If he's not the guy jumping off buildings, who is he? What does retirement even mean for someone whose entire existence has been defined by physical performance? These questions circle constantly, looking for answers that don't exist yet. The Karate Kid remake in 2010 offers Jackie something he's never had before, a role that requires no stunts.
No physical comedy. No death-defying falls or bone-breaking impacts.
He's playing Mr. Han, a maintenance man teaching kung fu to a young American boy in Beijing. The character is quiet, wounded, carrying grief that manifests in stillness rather than action. It's the opposite of everything Jackie Chan is known for. He almost turns it down. The script requires dramatic acting, emotional scenes that have nothing to do with martial arts, moments where he needs to convey loss and pain through facial expressions and vocal delivery rather than physical performance. It's terrifying in ways jumping off buildings never was. Physical danger is familiar. Emotional exposure is foreign territory. But something about the character speaks to him. Mr. Han is a man destroyed by loss, hiding from the world, going through motions of existence without really living. The parallels to Jackie's own life are uncomfortable and obvious. He's spent decades hiding behind stunts, using physical performance to avoid confronting emotional reality. This role would require the opposite: standing still, being present, showing vulnerability that isn't physical. Jaden Smith, playing the student, is 12 years old, the same age Jackie's son JC was when Jackie was barely present in his life. Working with Jaden surfaces regrets Jackie has spent years suppressing. This kid has a father who's actively involved in his career, supporting him, present on set daily. Will Smith is there constantly, offering guidance, being a parent in ways Jackie never managed. The contrast is painful. There's a scene where Mr. Han breaks down, revealing that his wife and son died in a car accident. Jackie has to cry. Not action movie tears where emotion is secondary to spectacle, but genuine grief. The director calls action. Jackie delivers the lines. The tears don't come. He's thinking about the scene intellectually, not feeling it.
They try again and again. Hours pass.
Jackie is frustrated with himself. He can take a punch to the face and barely react. But accessing real emotion for a scripted scene is proving impossible. Finally, the director asks him to think about real loss, not his character's loss.
His own. Jackie closes his eyes.
Thinks about Etta, the daughter he abandoned.
About JC, the son he barely knows.
About his own father who died while Jackie was filming, too busy to be there at the end. about Master Yu, whose cruelty shaped him in ways he's still unpacking, about all the relationships he's sacrificed for career, all the moments he can never recover. The tears come. The performance works. The Karate Kid becomes a massive global success. Over $350 million worldwide. Critics praise Jackie's dramatic performance. Audiences see a different side of him.
Suddenly, he's not just the stunt guy.
He's an actor capable of depth. Someone who can carry a film through emotional presence rather than physical spectacle. It's validating in ways that action success never quite achieved, but the filming experience leaves Jackie shaken. Accessing that pain for the camera required opening doors he's kept locked for decades. Now they won't fully close again. He's suddenly aware of everything he's avoided, all the emotional work he's neglected while focusing obsessively on physical achievement. The stunts were a distraction, an elaborate avoidance mechanism. He's been running from himself for 40 years, and the run is finally catching up. He starts therapy. Quietly. Not something he advertises. Mental health carries stigma in Chinese culture. Seeking help is seen as weakness. But Jackie is 56 years old, wealthy beyond measure, famous around the world, and profoundly unhappy in ways he can no longer ignore. The success didn't fix anything. The fame didn't heal the childhood wounds. All the broken bones and surviving impossible falls didn't prove what he thought they would prove. The therapist asks him about his relationship with pain, why he seeks it out, what he's trying to accomplish through self-destruction disguised as entertainment. Jackie doesn't have good answers. Or rather, he has answers, but they sound insane when spoken aloud. He's trying to prove he's valuable, trying to earn love through suffering, trying to transform childhood abuse into adult purpose, trying to make the pain mean something beyond just pain. They talk about Master Yu, about the opera school, about learning to smile through beatings because showing pain meant more punishment. The therapist suggests that Jackie's entire career is an elaborate reenactment of that dynamic.
Hurting himself.
Showing audiences the pain but making it funny. Getting rewarded for endurance. It's the same pattern. The same transaction, suffering, converted into approval and financial success. Jackie resists this interpretation initially. His work isn't pathological. It's art. He's not a victim replaying trauma. He's a performer choosing his path. But the resistance weakens as they keep talking.
Because the pattern is undeniable once you see it.
Every major stunt is a variation on the same theme. Put yourself in danger. Survive it. Get applause. The danger validates. The survival proves something. The applause confirms you matter. But what happens when the applause stops?
What happens when your body can't do stunts anymore?
What happens when you've built an entire identity around self-destruction and the destruction is no longer sustainable? These are the questions therapy surfaces. Questions Jackie has been avoiding by staying busy, by always having another project, by never sitting still long enough to think. Chinese Zodiac in 2012 is supposed to be Jackie's last major action film. He's announced it multiple times.
This is the finale.
The last hurrah.
One more chance to do the stunts that made him famous.
The production is enormous, shot across 7 countries.
Elaborate action sequences.
Everything Jackie is known for. But filming it feels different. Every stunt carries added weight because it might be the last time he attempts something this dangerous. There's a sequence involving Jackie rollerblading down a mountain road while wearing a special suit covered in wheels. It's absurd and dangerous and quintessentially Jackie Chan. He's 58 years old doing something that would terrify professional rollerbladers half his age. The stunt works. It looks incredible. And afterward, sitting in a medical tent with ice on his knees and bruises forming everywhere, Jackie realizes he doesn't want to do this anymore, not because he's scared. Fear stopped being a factor decades ago. He's just tired.
Tired of hurting.
Tired of the obsessive perfectionism that requires 50 takes of something already working.
Tired of the pressure to top himself. Tired of being Jackie Chan, the brand, when he's never figured out how to be Jackie Chan, the person.
The revelation isn't dramatic. It's quiet. an exhaustion so complete that even adrenaline can't overcome it. The film does well in Asia, less so in America. The reviews are respectful, but note that Jackie is visibly aging. The action is impressive for someone his age, but lacks the explosive energy of his younger work. It's a solid career capper, a respectable exit. But Jackie watches the footage and sees something audiences might not. He sees someone going through motions, executing stunts with technical proficiency, but without the manic joy that used to characterize his work. He starts accepting roles that don't require stunts, character parts in ensemble films,
Voice acting.
producing projects rather than starring in them. The transition is gradual but deliberate.
His body is forcing the issue.
Chronic pain is constant. The injuries from 50 years of falls are creating cascading problems. His hips need replacement. His spine is compressed. His hands are arthritic from decades of hitting hard surfaces. Modern medicine can manage symptoms but can't reverse accumulated damage. There's grief in this transition. Jackie is mourning who he used to be, the fearless young man who would attempt anything, the perfectionist who demanded another take even when everyone was exhausted, the performer who turned pain into laughter so effectively that millions of people forgot they were watching someone genuinely hurt themselves. That person is gone.
Age and injury killed him.
Jackie is still here, but he's someone different now.
Someone slower, more cautious.
More aware of limitations, his children remain complicated relationships. JC gets arrested in 2014 for marijuana possession in Beijing. The scandal is huge. Jackie's response is public disapproval. He calls himself a failed father.
Acknowledges his absence.
The statements are meant to be apologetic, but read as self-serving, making his son's problems about his own image, using public confession as damage control rather than genuine reckoning. Etta, the daughter he never acknowledged, grows up and speaks to media about feeling abandoned, about watching her father be present for everyone except her, about the pain of knowing your father chose not to know you. Jackie never fully responds, never takes real responsibility beyond vague admissions of mistakes. The cowardice is obvious and disappointing. He's brave enough to jump off buildings, but not brave enough to face his own daughter and apologize meaningfully. In interviews, Jackie starts talking about legacy, about wanting to be remembered as someone who changed action cinema, who proved that authentic physical performance could transcend cultural boundaries, who made people laugh and gasp simultaneously. The legacy talk is premature. He's still working.
Still taking roles.
But it reveals his preoccupation. He's thinking about how history will judge him, whether the films will outlast the personal failures, whether entertainment value can compensate for moral shortcomings. The truth is more complicated than Jackie wants to admit. He changed cinema.
No question.
His influence on action choreography, stunt work, and blending comedy with martial arts is immeasurable. Modern action films owe enormous debt to techniques he pioneered. The Marvel movies, the Fast and Furious franchise, John Wick films, all of them borrowed from Jackie's playbook. Wide shots proving stunts are real. Physical comedy integrated into action. Fallible heroes who get hurt and keep going. But influence isn't the same as redemption. Professional achievement doesn't erase personal failures. Jackie created incredible entertainment while being an absent father and emotionally unavailable partner. He inspired millions while being unable to face his own trauma. He showed vulnerability on screen while hiding behind emotional armor in real life. The contradiction defines him. The gap between public persona and private reality is where the real Jackie Chan exists. Uncomfortable, unresolved, human in ways his superhuman stunts never revealed. Understanding. Jackie Chan requires understanding what separated him from every other martial arts star of his generation. Bruce Lee died before fully achieving his potential, but his impact was philosophical.
He wasn't just fighting on screen.
He was expressing ideas about Eastern discipline, personal cultivation, the martial arts as a path to understanding oneself. His legacy is about consciousness as much as choreography. Jet Li brought grace and technical perfection. His movements looked effortless, superhuman. When Jet Li fights, physics seems negotiable. He floats, spins impossibly fast, delivers techniques so clean they look CGI enhanced even when they're completely real. His approach to action is aesthetic. Beauty through precision. Violence transformed into dance. Jackie Chan's genius was entirely different. He made himself relatable by showing fear, by running away when outmatched, by using whatever was available rather than relying on superior technique. His characters weren't invincible warriors. They were ordinary people forced into extraordinary situations, surviving through creativity and determination rather than inherent superiority. That fundamental accessibility is what allowed him to cross cultural boundaries that other martial arts stars couldn't. But beneath the surface comedy and accessible vulnerability was something darker, a willingness to genuinely hurt himself that went beyond professional dedication into territory that looks pathological when examined closely. Jackie wasn't just doing stunts, he was punishing himself. Every broken bone was proof of worthiness. Every near-death experience was evidence that he survived something most people couldn't. The entertainment was real, but so was the self-destruction. The Chinese concept of eating bitterness, qi in Mandarin, helps explain Jackie's psychology. The idea that suffering builds character, that enduring hardship without complaint demonstrates strength, that pain is a teacher revealing what you're capable of becoming. This philosophy is embedded deep in Chinese culture. It sustained people through wars, famines, political upheaval, survival through endurance, victory through outlasting. Jackie embodied this philosophy completely, but he also weaponized it,
Turned it into a career.
monetized suffering. The question nobody asks is whether that transformation is healthy, whether making entertainment from self-punishment is fundamentally different from just self-punishment, whether audiences laughing at your pain changes the pain or just gives it purpose that might be artificial. His stunt team was bound by similar psychology. Most of them came from backgrounds where physical suffering was normalized. Opera schools, poverty, families that valued toughness over tenderness. They found in Jackie a leader who understood their language, who spoke through action rather than words, who demonstrated love through shared suffering rather than emotional expression. The team was a family built on trauma, connected by willingness to hurt for each other. Traditional Chinese medicine played a huge role in Jackie's ability to continue working. Western medicine focuses on rest and recovery, healing through cessation of activity. Chinese medicine has different approaches, acupuncture, herbal treatments, techniques for managing pain while continuing to use injured body parts. Dit de Jiao, a Chinese liniment used by martial artists for centuries, became something Jackie used constantly. Heated, massaged into bruises and strains, allowing inflammation to reduce enough for another day of work. There were also less traditional methods. Painkillers? Lots of them. Western pharmaceuticals that Chinese practitioners might not approve of, but that worked when nothing else would. Jackie's relationship with pain medication is something he's never fully addressed publicly. The assumption is that someone doing what he did had to be using something. The human nervous system isn't designed to ignore the signals Jackie was ignoring without chemical assistance. Buddhist philosophy influenced Jackie in ways that aren't immediately obvious. The idea of impermanence, that everything changes, that attachment to permanence causes suffering, that the body is temporary and clinging to its integrity is ultimately futile. These concepts allowed Jackie to treat his body as disposable, not in a suicidal way, but in a utilitarian calculation. The body serves purpose. It will break down eventually regardless. Might as well use it fully while it functions. There's also the concept of transformation through suffering, that pain processed correctly becomes wisdom. That hardship endured mindfully creates depth of character impossible to achieve through comfort. Jackie's entire career can be read as Buddhist practice, each stunt a meditation on mortality, each injury a reminder of impermanence, each survival a lesson in non-attachment to physical form. But Buddhism also teaches compassion toward others and toward yourself. Jackie mastered the suffering part, The compassion remained underdeveloped, especially self-compassion. He could endure enormous pain but couldn't sit with emotional discomfort, could break his body repeatedly but couldn't break down his emotional walls. The spiritual philosophy was incomplete, applied selectively, used to justify punishment rather than promote healing. His relationship with Master Yu is the key to understanding everything.
Yu was brutal.
Genuinely abusive by any modern standard, beat children daily,
Pushed them past exhaustion.
created environment of fear and pain, but he also produced performers of extraordinary skill. Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, Jackie Chan, and dozens of others who became successful in entertainment. The results were undeniable even if the methods were horrific. Jackie has spent his life justifying Yu's cruelty, calling it necessary, claiming it created strength that gentle teaching couldn't achieve. But justification is different from acceptance. Jackie needed Yu's methods to be right because if they were wrong, if they were just abuse, then his childhood was stolen for no good reason. The suffering would be meaningless. Random cruelty rather than purposeful preparation, so Jackie made it meaningful. He transformed childhood trauma into adult success, proved that surviving Yu's brutality prepared him for anything. The stunts weren't just entertaining audiences. They were showing Master Yu, showing his parents, showing everyone who underestimated him that he was strong enough, that the pain created something valuable. That suffering wasn't wasted. This is the hidden truth about Jackie Chan. His entire career is a trauma response, an elaborate, globally successful, artistically innovative trauma response, but still fundamentally about processing abuse rather than healing from it. The difference matters. Processing is necessary. But without healing, you just refine your coping mechanisms, make them more sophisticated, build empire on foundation of unresolved pain. The Western stunt community respected Jackie but also feared him. American stunt coordinators understood that Jackie's methods would never work in Hollywood.
Union rules.
Safety regulations, insurance requirements, liability concerns. The entire infrastructure of American filmmaking is designed to protect performers from the kind of punishment Jackie considered normal. They admired his skill while recognizing his approach was unsustainable and possibly pathological. European stunt performers who worked with Jackie came away similarly conflicted, impressed by his dedication, amazed by his pain tolerance, but also disturbed by how he treated his body, how he expected his team to treat their bodies. The line between professional excellence and self-harm was blurry. Jackie lived on that line for 50 years without falling off. But living on the edge isn't the same as being safe. It just means you're good at balance. Japanese martial artists, many of whom Jackie worked with over his career, recognized a kindred spirit. Japanese culture also has concepts about endurance, discipline, pushing past limits. Bushido philosophy, the samurai ideal of facing death without fear. Jackie's approach resonated in Japan in ways that made Americans uncomfortable. Cultural context matters. What looks pathological in one framework looks noble in another. The secret technique Jackie developed, the one that no other action star fully replicated, was making audiences complicit in his pain. Other action stars hid their suffering, used camera tricks to make stunts look dangerous while minimizing actual risk. Jackie did the opposite. He showed you the danger,
Proved it was real. Made you watch him get hurt.
and then made you laugh about it. That's the alchemy nobody else achieved. The transformation of genuine suffering into entertainment that feels joyful despite the violence. Audiences left Jackie Chan films feeling uplifted, inspired, amazed at human potential. They weren't thinking about the broken bones and permanent injuries. They were thinking about the humor, the creativity, the triumph. Jackie converted his pain into their happiness. That's not just stunt work. That's emotional manipulation on a massive scale, used for entertainment rather than harm, but manipulation nonetheless. Hidden support systems made Jackie's career possible. Behind every famous performer is infrastructure that enables their work. For Jackie, this included doctors willing to treat injuries without reporting them, insurance brokers willing to find creative solutions to ensuring the uninsurable. Fixers who could navigate Chinese bureaucracy. Translators who understood action cinema terminology. Production assistants who knew exactly what equipment Jackie needed before he asked. There were also people protecting Jackie from himself. Team members who would refuse to participate in stunts that crossed from dangerous into suicidal. Directors who would quietly change shot lists to reduce risk. His wife, who despite their problems, managed his finances and ensured he didn't spend everything chasing the next adrenaline high. These people saved Jackie repeatedly, kept him alive and working when his own judgment was compromised by obsession. The pattern that emerges from examining Jackie's entire career is both inspiring and cautionary. He achieved impossible things through impossible dedication, changed an entire art form through willingness to risk everything, created entertainment that crossed every cultural boundary, but the cost was enormous. Broken family, permanent physical damage, emotional development arrested by focus on external achievement, trauma processed but never truly healed. Understanding this doesn't diminish his achievement.
If anything, it makes the accomplishment more remarkable.
Jackie didn't succeed despite his damage. He succeeded through it. The childhood abuse created skills and psychology that enabled his career. The pain tolerance developed at opera school allowed stunts nobody else could endure. The need to prove worthiness drove perfectionism that produced incredible work. The trauma was inseparable from the triumph, but recognizing this truth creates responsibility. For Jackie himself, for audiences who consumed his pain as entertainment, for the industry that profited from his self-destruction, for everyone who admired his fearlessness without asking what fear was being hidden. The hidden truth about Jackie Chan is that his greatest performances weren't on screen. They were the daily performances of being okay when he wasn't, of smiling through suffering, of pretending wholeness while fundamentally fragmented.
That's the real stunt.
Everything else was just falling. By his 60s, Jackie Chan has achieved something rare in entertainment. He's outlasted trends, survived industry changes, remained relevant across 5 decades. Most performers get a few good years, maybe a decade if they're lucky and talented. Jackie has been a significant figure in action cinema since the late 1970s. That longevity represents more than luck. It's about adaptation, intelligence, and understanding that survival requires evolution. The conversation about action cinema that begins in the 2010s revolves increasingly around Jackie's legacy. Younger directors cite him as primary influence. The Marvel Cinematic Universe's approach to action choreography borrows directly from Jackie's playbook. Long takes proving reality, physical comedy integrated seamlessly, heroes who get hurt and show vulnerability. The Russo brothers, who directed multiple Captain America and Avengers films, explicitly credit Jackie with teaching them how to shoot action. John Wick completely revolutionizes Hollywood action in 2014, and its approach is pure Jackie Chan DNA, wide shots showing full body, minimal cutting, choreography that uses environment creatively, the main character getting visibly beaten up while continuing to fight. Keanu Reeves trained for months to do his own stunts specifically because he grew up watching Jackie Chan films and understood that authenticity matters. The reverence is genuine and earned. Even Fast and Furious franchise, which eventually becomes more about spectacle than realism, owes debt to Jackie's influence. The emphasis on practical stunts wherever possible. The blooper reels showing how effects were achieved. The family dynamic among the stunt team and performers. These elements all trace back to what Jackie established decades earlier. His fingerprints are everywhere in modern action cinema, even when he's not receiving explicit credit. Jackie starts getting honored by institutions that previously ignored him. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences gives him an honorary Oscar in 2016 for lifetime achievement. The ceremony is emotional. Jackie's acceptance speech is brief but heartfelt. He thanks his stunt team, acknowledges their sacrifices. His voice breaks when talking about the bones broken and blood spilled in pursuit of entertaining audiences.
Standing ovation.
recognition that was 40 years overdue but finally arriving. The honorary Oscar represents something significant. Hollywood spent decades not knowing what to do with Jackie. He didn't fit existing categories. Too Chinese for American audiences, too comedic for serious action recognition, too physically focused for dramatic acting awards. But time revealed his innovation. Distance provided perspective. What looked like weird niche entertainment from Hong Kong became recognized as genuine artistic revolution. Meeting with other legendary action stars becomes more frequent. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. The generation that dominated American action cinema in the 1980s and 90s, they swap injury stories, compare surgical scars, discuss the physical toll of careers built on violence. These conversations have surprising depth. Everyone's dealing with chronic pain. Everyone faces mortality differently now than when they were invincible 20-year-olds. Stallone in particular connects with Jackie. Both came from poverty. Both used physical performance to escape limitations. Both built empires from willingness to endure punishment. They talk about the addiction aspect, how difficulty distinguishing between dedication and compulsion.
How stopping feels like dying because work has been identity for so long.
Stallone is more open about using performance-enhancing substances. Jackie stays quiet about his own pharmaceutical history, but the understanding is mutual. These elder statesman conversations surface questions about purpose. When you've achieved everything, when you're wealthy and famous and recognized, what drives you forward? For many action stars, the answer is momentum. Keep working because stopping means confronting emptiness. Jackie recognizes this pattern in himself. The constant projects. Always another film.
Another endorsement.
Another public appearance. Staying busy to avoid silence. He starts doing more philanthropic work. Dragon's Heart Foundation focuses on helping disadvantaged youth, providing scholarships, building schools, creating opportunities for kids from backgrounds like his own. The work is genuinely meaningful, not just celebrity charity for tax benefits and publicity. Jackie visits the schools, talks to students, shares his story in ways he couldn't when focused purely on career. Talking to young people forces Jackie to reckon with his own narrative. What lessons does his life actually teach?
Work hard? Sure, never give up? Absolutely.
But also what? Neglect your family for career? Process trauma through self-destruction? Build success on foundations of unresolved pain? These aren't messages he wants to communicate, but they're inseparable from his story. Some conversations with students become therapeutic for Jackie. A teenage boy talks about his abusive father. Jackie listens and recognizes himself.
Not in the father, in the boy.
That confused kid trying to make sense of violence from people supposed to protect you. Jackie tells the boy something he wishes someone had told him. That abuse isn't your fault. That survival isn't the same as healing. That strength isn't just endurance, but also knowing when to seek help. The boy asks if Jackie ever got therapy. Jackie admits he started too late, that he spent 50 years processing trauma through stunts instead of actually addressing it. That success doesn't heal childhood wounds. It just makes them more comfortable to live with. The conversation is raw, honest in ways Jackie's public persona rarely allows. The boy thanks him, says it helps knowing even Jackie Chan struggles. That success doesn't make pain disappear. These interactions change how Jackie views his legacy. He wanted to be remembered for films, for stunts, for revolutionizing action cinema. Those achievements matter. But what matters more, what he's discovering in his 60s, is the human connection, the inspiration that comes from showing vulnerability, the permission his story gives others to acknowledge their own struggles, the modeling of perseverance that transcends entertainment. He reconnects with Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao properly. The Opera School brothers haven't worked together much in recent years. Different career trajectories, different priorities, but they share something nobody else can understand. The same childhood trauma, the same brutal training, the same transformation of pain into performance. They're old men now, bodies wrecked by decades of falls, but sitting together, they're kids again. Brothers who survived something terrible together. They talk about Master Yu without anger now,
understanding that he was damaged too.
that he taught the only way he knew how, that his cruelty came from his own training, his own suffering.
This doesn't excuse the abuse.
But it contextualizes it, breaks the cycle of anger by acknowledging complexity. Yu was monster and mentor simultaneously, both things true at once. This nuanced understanding of their past allows Jackie to approach his own failures with slightly more compassion. He was a terrible father.
That's true.
But he was also someone who never learned healthy relationship patterns, who had no template for emotional intimacy, who confused love with endurance and connection with transaction. Understanding why he failed doesn't erase the failure, but it makes it human rather than monstrous. JC, his son, slowly rebuilds relationship with Jackie. It's awkward. Decades of absence can't be overcome with a few conversations, but they're trying. JC is pursuing his own entertainment career, and Jackie offers guidance while trying not to be controlling. The irony isn't lost on either of them. Jackie barely saw his son growing up, but now wants to advise him on career choices. They navigate this carefully, building something that never existed rather than repairing what broke. Etta, his daughter from the affair, remains estranged. She's made clear statements about not wanting relationship with Jackie. That door is closed, perhaps permanently. Jackie has to accept this consequence. You can't abandon someone for 20 years and expect forgiveness. Some damage is irreversible. This acceptance is painful but necessary. Part of gathering wisdom is acknowledging limits. Not everything can be fixed. He starts mentoring younger action performers, not just Chinese actors but international talent looking to do practical stunts in era dominated by digital effects. He teaches technique but also philosophy. How to fall safely, how to make impact look devastating while minimizing injury, but also how to know your limits, how to build career that lasts rather than burning bright and fast, how to avoid his mistakes. The mentoring reveals how much wisdom Jackie accumulated through failure. He knows what doesn't work because he tried everything.
Ignored his body until it broke.
Prioritized career over family until family dissolved. Chased approval until approval became addiction. Younger performers can learn from his mistakes without repeating them. That's valuable legacy beyond any film. Traditional Chinese concepts about aging inform Jackie's evolving perspective. The idea that youth is for action, middle age for achievement, and old age for wisdom. That different life stages have different purposes. That trying to be physically what you were at 30 when you're 65 is fighting nature. That accepting limitations isn't surrender but maturity. These teachings resonate now in ways they couldn't earlier. He's learning slowly that worth isn't proven through suffering, that value exists independent of achievement. That identity can exist beyond performance. These seem like simple concepts. For Jackie, they're revolutionary. His entire existence has been organized around proving worthiness through endurance. Letting go of that requires rebuilding from foundation, creating new understanding of who he is when he's not jumping off buildings. The films continue, but differently. More acting roles, character parts that showcase skill developed over 50 years, less physical demand, more emotional range.
Movies like The Foreigner in 2017, where Jackie plays a father seeking justice for his daughter's death.
The role requires dramatic acting,
Showing grief.
displaying rage through stillness rather than action. It's effective. Critics note his growth as performer, his ability to communicate without stunts. These later films don't make the money his prime action comedies made. That's fine. Jackie's not chasing box office records anymore. He's exploring craft, proving to himself that he's more than the sum of his broken bones, that decades of experience created skills beyond physical, that he can hold screen presence through acting rather than just spectacular stunts. The validation is internal now, less about audience approval and more about personal satisfaction. His relationship with China becomes more complex. As Beijing's influence grows globally, Jackie becomes cultural ambassador, representing Chinese entertainment internationally. This brings opportunities and complications. Political pressures, expectations about what he'll say publicly about sensitive topics, the need to balance personal beliefs with professional responsibilities. He navigates this imperfectly, sometimes saying things that anger Western audiences, sometimes remaining silent when speech would be moral. But through it all, the underlying truth remains. Jackie Chan changed how action is filmed, how stunts are performed, how audiences experience physical cinema. His influence spans generations and cultures. The specific films will be remembered, but the real legacy is philosophical. The understanding that authenticity resonates, that audiences connect with vulnerability, that showing pain makes triumph more meaningful. These lessons outlast any individual movie. The 2020s arrive, and Jackie Chan is no longer the man who hangs from clock towers. He's 70 years old in 2024. His body is a museum of accumulated damage. Medical scans show fractures that healed crooked, joints worn beyond recognition, spinal compression that's irreversible. Walking requires conscious effort some mornings. The pain that used to be temporary between shoots is now permanent background noise to existence. But something unexpected happens with age. The desperate need to prove himself diminishes, not completely. Patterns established over 60 years don't disappear overnight, but the urgency fades. Jackie no longer wakes up feeling he must demonstrate worthiness through suffering. The addiction to approval, while not cured, has loosened its grip. Therapy helped. Time helped more. Simply surviving into old age while many peers didn't provide its own validation. He starts writing his experiences down, not ghostwritten autobiography for publicity, personal reflections, attempting to understand his own journey by examining it honestly. The process is harder than any stunt. Physical pain has clear causes and solutions. Emotional archaeology requires digging through decades of buried feelings, confronting choices you'd rather forget, acknowledging harm you caused while claiming good intentions. Writing about his parents surfaces unexpected compassion. They were desperately poor. Living in post-war Hong Kong where survival required impossible choices, selling him wasn't cruelty for its own sake. It was calculus of scarcity. How do you feed a family when there's no food? How do you house children when there's no space? They kept him ultimately, made different choices than their desperation suggested.
That took something.
Jackie is beginning to understand what. Reflecting on Master Yu is more complicated. The man was genuinely abusive, created environment of fear and pain, damaged children systematically, but he also created performers of extraordinary skill. The question that haunts Jackie is whether the outcome justifies the method. Can you separate the achievement from the abuse? Is it possible that both things are true? That Yu was monster who created something valuable through monstrous means? Jackie doesn't have clean answers. The older he gets, the more comfortable he becomes with ambiguity. Maybe Yu was damaged by his own training. Maybe he taught the only way he knew. Maybe the skills Jackie developed required exactly that kind of brutal conditioning. Or maybe it was just abuse that happened to produce results sometimes. Both interpretations exist simultaneously. Rejecting easy narratives is part of approaching wisdom. His films in this period reflect the evolution. Vanguard in 2020, though filmed earlier, shows Jackie in more supervisory role. He's still on screen but not doing the impossible stunts.
Mostly acting.
Some light action. Nothing that risks serious injury. The film isn't particularly successful, but success isn't the point anymore. Jackie is transitioning into elder statesman phase. The work is about staying engaged rather than proving anything. He starts spending more time on environmental causes, climate change,
Wildlife conservation.
protection of endangered species. These concerns feel distant from action cinema, but they represent something important. Thinking beyond himself. Considering legacy that extends past entertainment. Future generations who might remember him for contribution to planet rather than just contribution to film. The conservation work brings unexpected peace. Working with animals requires patience Jackie never developed while filming. You can't rush a panda.
Can't demand another take from a tiger.
Can't apply perfectionist standards to ecosystems operating on geological timescales. The work teaches surrender. acceptance of things beyond control. Lessons Jackie needed his entire life, but only now has capacity to absorb. There's a documentary crew following him through this period. They're creating a comprehensive look at his career. The process involves watching old footage. Seeing himself at 25, at 35, at 50, the young Jackie is almost unrecognizable. The fearlessness looks reckless from distance of decades. The pain tolerance looks pathological. The desperation to prove himself is visible in every frame once you know to look for it. Watching his younger self perform stunts that could have killed him creates a strange mix of emotions. Pride in the achievement,
Horror at the risk.
sadness for the man who thought his value depended on enduring more than humanly reasonable. The documentary includes interviews with original stunt team members. Their stories reveal things Jackie didn't know. How often they thought he would die. How they covered for him when injuries were worse than he admitted. How they loved him despite the impossible demands. His relationship with his body evolves from adversarial to something approaching acceptance. The body broke. That was inevitable. Decades of falls couldn't end any other way, but the body also performed miracles. Did things doctors said were impossible, healed faster than medical science predicted.
Lasted longer than anyone expected. There's gratitude emerging.
Respect for the vehicle that carried him through extraordinary journey, even as it was being destroyed. Physical therapy becomes daily practice, not to prepare for stunts, but to maintain basic function, stretching, gentle exercise, preserving what mobility remains. The therapists are amazed he can move at all, given his medical history. Multiple fractures in every limb, spinal compression that would immobilize most people, joint damage that typically requires replacement surgery. Jackie functions through combination of stubbornness and traditional Chinese medicine techniques that Western doctors don't fully understand. He starts painting. Took it up years ago, but now pursues it seriously.
Abstract expressions.
Colors and forms representing emotions he can't verbalize. The paintings are surprisingly good. Not technically perfect, but emotionally honest. They sell for significant money, though that's partly celebrity factor. But critics note genuine artistic sensibility. The same creative intelligence that choreographed impossible stunts, now expressing through different medium. The painting provides outlet that doesn't require destroying himself, creating without suffering, making beauty without pain. The novelty is profound. Jackie spent 60 years believing creation required sacrifice, that art demanded blood, that entertainment needed bones. Discovering he can make something meaningful without hurting himself feels revolutionary, like learning entirely new language in old age. Conversations with his son JC deepen. They're not close in traditional sense. Too much distance, too many years of absence.
But they're building something.
JC is in his 40s now, making his own mistakes, learning his own lessons. Jackie tries to be present without being controlling, offering guidance when asked, staying silent when appropriate, learning boundaries he never respected before. JC talks about pressure of being Jackie Chan's son,
The expectations.
the comparisons, the impossible standard. Jackie listens and recognizes the harm. He thought keeping the family secret protected them. Instead, it created different damage, shame about being hidden, confusion about why they weren't acknowledged. JC is working through this in therapy. Jackie is learning that some harm can't be undone, only acknowledged and grieved. The question of Etta remains open wound. She's made clear she wants no relationship. Jackie has attempted to reach out through intermediaries, offered financial support, asked for chance to apologize properly. She's refused everything. This is consequence he must live with. You can't abandon someone for decades and expect forgiveness on your timeline. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. He starts teaching at drama academies, not the brutal opera school style. Modern education that respects students as people, teaching stunt work safely, how to make impact look real while minimizing injury, how to understand physics of falling, how to use environment creatively and fight choreography. The students are amazed by his knowledge. The decades of experience compressed into practical wisdom they can use without repeating his mistakes. Teaching reveals what Jackie knows that can't be learned from watching films: the timing, the spatial awareness, the understanding of how bodies move under stress, the ability to calculate trajectories instinctively. These skills took 40 years to develop, accumulated through thousands of stunts, refined through constant experimentation. Now he can articulate them,
Pass them forward.
ensure the craft survives even as his ability to perform it diminishes. Some students ask about injuries, whether stunts are worth the permanent damage. Jackie is honest now in ways he couldn't be during his career. He tells them the damage is real and lasting, that pain becomes constant companion, that some choices can't be reversed, but also that he doesn't regret the path, that his career gave life meaning, that the entertainment brought joy to millions. That suffering with purpose is different than suffering without it. Whether students should follow his example is a different question. Medicine is better now, safety equipment more advanced. Digital effects can augment practical stunts in ways that weren't possible during Jackie's prime. Young performers don't need to sacrifice their bodies the way he did. They can create spectacle with less self-destruction. Jackie encourages this, wants them to learn from his experience without repeating his damage. He starts collaborating with younger directors who grew up watching his films. They bring fresh energy and different perspectives. The collaboration works because Jackie has learned to let go of control. He offers suggestions rather than demands, contributes rather than dominates. This would have been impossible 30 years ago. The obsessive perfectionism wouldn't allow shared authority. Age and exhaustion have created flexibility. These collaborations produce interesting work, not necessarily commercially successful but artistically satisfying. Films that acknowledge Jackie's legacy while pushing forward, using practical stunts in new ways, blending his old school techniques with modern technology, creating action that honors tradition while embracing innovation. Jackie is becoming bridge between eras, living connection between Hong Kong's golden age and cinema's digital future. His presence on sets changes the energy. Younger performers are starstruck. He's legend to them, the person who defined what they're attempting. Jackie tries to demystify himself, shares stories that reveal his humanity, the fears, the failures, the times he wanted to quit, making himself approachable rather than mythical, showing that greatness comes from persistence rather than invulnerability. But there's also recognition that his era is ending. The action cinema he pioneered is evolving into something different. CGI allows impossibilities that practical stunts can't achieve. Audiences raised on Marvel movies expect spectacle beyond what human bodies can deliver. The pendulum is swinging away from practical effects toward digital creation. Jackie's approach isn't obsolete, but it's becoming niche, artisanal, something appreciated by connoisseurs rather than mass audiences. This doesn't diminish the achievement. Influence outlasts trend. Jackie changed how action is conceived and executed. That foundation remains even as building continues upward. Every modern action director has absorbed his lessons consciously or unconsciously. Wide shots,
Long takes.
physical comedy.
Vulnerable heroes.
These elements persist even in films that rely heavily on digital effects. The philosophy survived even as the specific techniques evolved. Approaching mastery, Jackie realizes, isn't about perfecting technique.
It's about understanding purpose.
Why you did what you did, what it meant beyond surface accomplishment, how it changed you and others. The stunts were never just stunts. They were communication, expression, transformation of inner pain into outer spectacle, healing through performance, connection through shared experience of watching something dangerous become entertaining. That's the mastery.
Not the backflips or the falls.
The emotional alchemy, the ability to take suffering and make it meaningful, to show vulnerability and have it received as strength, to break yourself and have the breaking inspire rather than horrify.
That's what separated Jackie from every other action star.
Technical skill was necessary but not sufficient. The magic was psychological, emotional, spiritual, making audiences feel what he felt, sharing the journey rather than just displaying the results. The ultimate truth about Jackie Chan emerges not from his greatest stunt, but from his quietest moments. The revelation isn't in the clock tower fall or the glass slide or the near-death experiences that defined his career. It's in why he needed those moments at all. Why someone would deliberately choose pain over safety. Why validation through suffering became the organizing principle of an entire life. Jackie spent 6 decades turning broken bones into entertainment, but the deeper transformation was internal. Every death-defying stunt was asking the same question to the universe.
Am I enough?
Every broken bone was demanding the same answer. The approval from audiences was temporary relief. Confirmation that lasted until the next film required proving himself again. The cycle was never about entertainment. That was byproduct. The real purpose was healing, or attempting to heal, using external validation to treat internal wounds. This is what audiences were actually watching, not just impressive physical feats. They were witnessing someone's therapeutic process performed at massive scale. Jackie was working through childhood trauma in front of billions, processing abandonment and abuse through choreographed violence and comedy, making his pain productive.
Giving it meaning.
Transforming wound into weapon, into art, into connection. The genius wasn't just making stunts look good, it was making trauma accessible. Every person who's felt inadequate could watch Jackie get thrown through windows and see their own struggle reflected. Every child who survived abuse could watch him smile through pain and understand that survival is possible. Every person who felt abandoned could watch his characters persist and believe in their own resilience. Jackie wasn't just entertaining. He was showing people their own potential for endurance. But this connection came at devastating cost. Jackie gave audiences his pain, literally, physically. The entertainment they consumed was built from his actual suffering. Broken bones as curriculum, permanent damage as lesson plan. The world learned about resilience by watching him demonstrate it through self-destruction.
That's noble.
But it's also tragic, because Jackie was trapped by the very thing that made him special. He couldn't stop performing pain because that's what made people love him. The vulnerability, the realness, the visible struggle. If he started using stunt doubles or wire work or digital effects, the magic would disappear. Audiences would sense the inauthenticity. They loved Jackie precisely because he genuinely hurt himself for their entertainment.
That's the trap.
The more successful he became, the more he needed to damage himself to maintain what made him successful. Understanding this pattern reveals the hidden role Jackie played in global culture. He wasn't just an action star. He was an emotional guide, teaching billions of people how to process pain, how to find humor in hardship, how to persist when everything hurts, how to transform suffering into something beautiful.
These are crucial human skills.
Jackie taught them through physical demonstration rather than abstract philosophy. Eastern spirituality recognizes this kind of teaching, the idea that enlightenment comes through experience rather than instruction, that watching someone transcend limitations can catalyze your own transcendence. Jackie was performing Buddhist teaching without necessarily intending to. Each stunt was meditation on impermanence. Each injury was lesson in non-attachment. Each survival was proof that consciousness persists through physical breakdown. Western audiences received the same teaching through different framework. American culture values individualism, triumph over adversity, pulling yourself up by bootstraps. Jackie's story fit this narrative perfectly. Poor kid from Hong Kong makes himself into global superstar through sheer determination. The American dream performed by someone who wasn't American. Proof that the mythology could transcend national boundaries, but both interpretations miss something crucial. Jackie wasn't just determined, he was damaged. The success wasn't despite the trauma, it was because of it. Remove the childhood abuse and opera school brutality, and you don't get Jackie Chan, you get someone different. Maybe someone healthier, probably someone less extraordinary. The damage was prerequisite, the suffering was ingredient. You can't separate the achievement from the cost. This raises uncomfortable questions about how we consume entertainment. Audiences loved Jackie's pain,
Laughed at it.
bought tickets to watch him hurt himself repeatedly. The relationship was parasitic, dressed up as appreciation. People took his suffering as entertainment and gave back money and applause. Not a fair exchange. Not healing for Jackie. Just monetization of trauma performed so brilliantly that everyone convinced themselves it was something else. Jackie participated in this exchange willingly. He was complicit, chose the path.
Knew what he was doing.
But choice is complicated when you're choosing from limited options. What else could Jackie have done? Stayed in Hong Kong working construction? Became a criminal? Starved? His skills pointed toward one path. The society that created him through abuse then rewarded him for performing that abuse as entertainment. The system is larger than any individual. The climactic revelation isn't that Jackie suffered.
Everyone knows that.
The revelation is understanding what that suffering accomplished beyond entertainment. It created permission structure for millions of people. Permission to acknowledge your own pain.
Permission to keep going anyway.
Permission to find humor in horror. Permission to believe that ordinary people can do extraordinary things if they're willing to endure extraordinary pain. That's powerful.
That's valuable.
That's legacy beyond any film.
But it's also deeply sad.
Because Jackie had to destroy himself to create that permission. Had to break his body repeatedly to show others that breaking doesn't mean ending. Had to smile through genuine agony to prove that joy and pain can coexist. The teaching required the sacrifice. You can't separate message from messenger when the message is literally performed through the messenger's body. His relationships with Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao complete the picture.
They're brothers in the truest sense.
Not by blood, but by shared ordeal. They survived the same abuse, developed the same skills, made the same choices to transform pain into performance. Their bond is sacred because it's built on mutual understanding that nobody else can fully share. They don't have to explain why they did what they did. They know. They lived it together. This brotherhood reveals another hidden truth. Jackie wasn't alone. The stunt team was family built on shared trauma. Every member understood the transaction.
Pain for purpose.
Suffering for significance. Damage for legacy. They chose it collectively, supported each other through it, created safety net of people who would catch you when falls went wrong and stand beside you when recovery seemed impossible. The work destroyed them individually but connected them eternally. The revelation about his parents completes the emotional journey. They almost sold him. That abandonment threatened to define his entire existence. Every stunt was proving he was worth keeping. Every success was demonstrating they made the right choice not selling him. Every broken bone was evidence that he survived their decision. The whole career was response to that primal rejection. Attempting to earn love that should have been unconditional, but his parents kept him. Despite poverty, despite hardship, despite everything suggesting they couldn't. That choice mattered. Jackie spent 60 years proving he was worth that choice, demonstrating that their sacrifice was justified, making their struggle meaningful by becoming someone significant. His success was their validation as much as his own. The family story isn't just about abandonment. It's about chosen connection despite impossible circumstances. Understanding Master Yu's role brings the pattern full circle. Yu was brutal, abusive, created environment of systematic cruelty. But he also saw potential in abandoned children.
Took them in, fed them, housed them, trained them.
Gave them skills that enabled survival and sometimes thriving. He was monster and savior simultaneously, destroyer and creator. Both things entirely true at once without contradiction. Jackie embodied this same duality. He hurt himself to heal others, destroyed his body to build his career, abandoned his children while teaching millions about perseverance. The contradictions don't resolve, they coexist. This is what makes Jackie Chan's story genuinely complex rather than just impressive. The achievement and the damage are inseparable. The inspiration and the cautionary tale are the same story told from different angles. The spiritual dimension becomes clear with distance. Jackie was performing ritual, ancient human practice of enduring ordeal to access transcendence. Shamans walk fire, mystics flagellate themselves, prophets starve in wilderness. Physical suffering as gateway to insight. Jackie's stunts were modern version of age-old practice, hurting the body to free something else. What that something else was, Jackie probably couldn't articulate, but audiences felt it,
Recognized it.
connected with it. His laughter through pain is the key.
Not just physical comedy technique.
Spiritual practice. Demonstration that suffering doesn't have to be tragic, that you can acknowledge hurt while refusing to be defined by it. That humor is form of transcendence, way of saying pain is real but not ultimate. This teaching is gift, genuine contribution to human understanding of how to persist through difficulty. The ultimate secret unveils itself through accumulation of smaller revelations. Jackie Chan succeeded because he failed at being Bruce Lee. That failure forced him to discover his own voice. The voice was vulnerability. The message was that heroism looks like struggle. The technique was showing rather than hiding. Everything that made him special came from refusing to be what everyone expected, from embracing what made him different rather than copying what made others successful. This is the lesson that extends beyond action cinema into life itself. Your damage doesn't disqualify you. Your weakness isn't liability. Your struggle is your story. What makes you different might be exactly what makes you valuable. Jackie proved this by building empire on foundation that looked like weakness. Fear, pain, imperfection, vulnerability. These became strengths when approached honestly, when performed authentically, when shared generously. The climax isn't a moment, it's recognition. Understanding that every stunt, every film, every broken bone was part of single long conversation. Jackie asking if pain can become purpose. Audiences answering yes through their attendance. The conversation continuing for 50 years.
Never fully resolving, but constantly revealing.
This is what mastery looks like.
Not perfection.
But persistence, not invulnerability. But honest engagement with vulnerability.
Not triumph over pain.
But transformation of pain into something that serves rather than destroys. Jackie Chan turned himself into living metaphor. Body as text, scars as sentences, career as epic poem about human resilience. The metaphor worked because it was literal.
Real bones really breaking. Real pain really endured. Real survival really demonstrated.
The performance was authentic because it wasn't performance. It was life made visible, trauma processed publicly, healing attempted collectively.
That's the revelation. That's the truth.
That's what audiences were actually watching all along. The pieces finally arranged themselves into coherent picture. Jackie Chan's life isn't just success story or cautionary tale. It's both simultaneously. Resolution of his journey doesn't mean choosing between these interpretations. It means holding both truths at once. Acknowledging the achievement while reckoning with the cost. Celebrating the inspiration while grieving the damage. His influence on action cinema is quantifiable and extraordinary. Before Jackie, action was primarily about strength. Heroes were invincible until plot required otherwise.
Fights were serious.
Violence was threatening. Action was separated from comedy by genre walls that seemed permanent. Jackie demolished those walls, proved that action and comedy could enhance each other. That vulnerability made heroes more compelling rather than less. That audiences wanted to see struggle, not just victory. Every modern action film that shows its hero getting hurt owes debt to Jackie. Every fight scene that incorporates humor is walking path he cleared. Every long take proving a stunt is real is honoring his commitment to authenticity. The Marvel movies, with their blend of action and comedy and heroes who crack jokes while bleeding, are essentially billion-dollar productions using templates Jackie developed in low-budget Hong Kong films 40 years ago. The Fast and Furious franchise explicitly acknowledges Jackie's influence, the emphasis on family, the practical stunts wherever possible, the blooper reels showing how effects were achieved. Even the tolerance for physics-defying spectacle connects to Jackie's willingness to push boundaries of believability. These films make hundreds of millions because they give audiences what Jackie taught them to want: authentic feeling action combined with emotional connection to characters. John Wick revolutionized Hollywood action by returning to Jackie's principles: long takes, wide shots, choreography that uses environment, hero who visibly suffers consequences. Keanu Reeves trained for months to do his own stunts because he understood that audiences can feel the difference. That authenticity creates connection no amount of digital trickery can replicate. This is Jackie's legacy propagating through new generation. But influence isn't redemption for personal failures. Jackie changed cinema while failing at family, inspired millions while abandoning his daughter, taught perseverance while being emotionally unavailable to his son. These contradictions don't cancel each other out. They coexist. Greatness in one domain doesn't excuse failure in another. Jackie is learning this in old age. Success professionally didn't create success personally.
Different skills,
Different requirements, different measures. His body is permanent record of choices made. Medical documentation lists the damage comprehensively.
skull fracture with permanent plate,
Broken nose 3 times, healed crooked. Cheekbone fractured and improperly set. Most teeth knocked out and replaced. Jaw broken. Spine compressed in multiple locations. Pelvis cracked. Both shoulders damaged. Multiple finger fractures. Toes broken and rebroken. Ribs fractured so many times the count is approximate.
ankle shattered,
Permanent hearing loss in right ear. Each injury tells story. The skull fracture in Yugoslavia that nearly killed him. The ankle broken during rumble in the Bronx and hidden in modified sneaker. The spine compression from decades of falls accumulating into permanent disability. The body is map of career. You can trace his filmography through scars. This is what 50 years of stunts costs. This is the price of authenticity. This is what audiences consumed as entertainment. But Jackie doesn't express regret about the injuries. Pain is constant companion now, chronic and unavoidable. But the pain has meaning. It's evidence of life fully lived, risks taken, boundaries pushed, impossibilities attempted. The alternative would have been safer body and smaller existence. Jackie chose large life. The body paid for that choice. The transaction was made consciously, repeatedly, for decades. The regret he does express centers on family.
time with his children he can never recover,
Presence he should have provided. Emotional connection he was incapable of creating. These failures hurt worse than broken bones because they're irreversible and affected others. Bones heal. Relationships damaged by decades of neglect might not. Etta still won't speak to him. That consequence is permanent.
that pain has no purpose.
It's just loss. JC represents possibility of partial reconciliation. Their relationship is rebuilding slowly, awkwardly. Son is middle-aged now.
Father is elderly,
They're starting from scratch rather than repairing something broken because there was never solid foundation to break. Building takes patience, communication, willingness to be vulnerable in ways Jackie never learned during his career. The work is harder than any stunt. Progress is measured in small moments rather than spectacular achievements. His marriage to Lin Fengjiao survived despite everything working against it. The years of secrecy, the affair and public humiliation, the constant absence, the emotional unavailability. That it endured suggests something genuine beneath the damage. Lin chose to stay. Jackie chose to remain. They built life together even as career pulled them apart. The relationship isn't perfect. It's complicated and scarred, but it persisted. That counts for something. The stunt team members who survived, who didn't die in accidents or from accumulated injuries, remained connected. They're old men now, bodies wrecked, but bonds intact. They share something nobody else can understand. The willingness to hurt for shared vision. The trust required to catch someone falling 40 feet. The loyalty that kept them returning to set despite knowing they'd leave injured. This brotherhood outlasts the films, transcends the fame, represents genuine human connection built through shared ordeal. Jackie's philanthropy becomes more focused as he ages. Dragon's Heart Foundation expands. More schools built. More scholarships provided. more young people from disadvantaged backgrounds given opportunities. He's particularly invested in arts education, teaching kids that creativity is a valid career path, that performance skills can create livelihood, that talent combined with determination can overcome circumstance. He's trying to create pathways that didn't exist when he was young. Environmental work continues. Conservation projects in China and Southeast Asia, protecting habitats, preserving endangered species, speaking out about climate change. This activism surprises people who know Jackie primarily as action star, but it represents evolution, understanding that legacy extends beyond entertainment. That influence can be used for purposes beyond self-promotion. That time left is limited and should serve something larger than ego. His political role remains complicated and controversial. As prominent Chinese celebrity, Jackie faces pressure to support Beijing's positions. He's made statements that anger Western audiences, defended policies that critics see as authoritarian. The nuance of his position is difficult to pass from outside. How much is genuine belief? How much is pragmatic calculation? How much is self-preservation? These questions don't have clear answers. Jackie navigates between cultures and political systems with imperfect results. But political complexity doesn't negate cultural contribution. Jackie served as bridge between East and West for 50 years, helped Western audiences see Asian performers as more than stereotypes, showed that Chinese cinema could be sophisticated, innovative, globally relevant, proved that action choreography from Hong Kong could influence Hollywood rather than just imitate it. This cultural exchange work matters regardless of political positioning. The films will last. Physical media degrades. Streaming platforms change. But the work persists. Scholars study Jackie's choreography. Film schools teach his techniques. New generations discover his movies and understand why he mattered. The entertainment value endures, but so does the artistry. The innovation, the willingness to push boundaries. These elements make his filmography historically significant beyond nostalgia. His approach to aging becomes teaching tool. Jackie shows that life continues after physical prime, that identity can evolve beyond what made you famous, that limitations can be accepted without surrendering relevance. He's not trying to be 30-year-old Jackie. He's being 70-year-old Jackie. Different capabilities, different priorities, different relationship with body and career. The transition isn't seamless, but it's happening. Younger performers watch how Jackie ages and learn. They see that you can acknowledge decline without shame. That respect comes from how you handle inevitable rather than pretending inevitable isn't happening. That grace in aging is its own form of strength, different from youthful fearlessness but equally valuable. Jackie is modeling this whether he intends to or not. The resolution isn't tidy.
Life doesn't resolve like movie plots do.
Contradictions persist. Jackie is simultaneously inspiration and warning. His success is inseparable from his damage. His achievement required his suffering. You can't have one without the other.
That's uncomfortable truth.
We want clean narratives, heroes without flaws, success without cost. Jackie's story refuses that simplification. What emerges instead is something more human and therefore more valuable. Portrait of someone who's survived impossible circumstances, who transformed trauma into art, who entertained billions while never fully healing his own wounds, who succeeded spectacularly in chosen field while failing at things that probably matter more, who late in life began attempting repair, who learned that some damage is permanent while other damage can be addressed, who understood that legacy is a complicated mixture of what you created and what you destroyed. The balance sheet is mixed. Enormous professional achievement, significant personal failure,
Revolutionary artistic contribution.
complicated political positioning, inspiration to millions, abandonment of individuals, changed an entire art form, never fully changed himself. This is resolution.
Not triumph, not tragedy.
Both at once, human-scaled, honest, complex, real. Jackie Chan turned pain into laughter. That's the simple version. The deeper truth is that he turned trauma into purpose, gave suffering meaning, created beauty from brokenness.
Showed millions that survival is possible.
That persistence pays off. that vulnerability is strength,
That humor heals.
that ordinary people can do extraordinary things if they're willing to sacrifice extraordinarily. Whether that sacrifice is worth it remains open question. The answer is different for everyone who encounters his story.
That's appropriate.
Complex questions deserve complex answers. Jackie's life provides both. Dawn breaks over Hong Kong's Victoria Harbour. The city that shaped Jackie Chan has transformed beyond recognition. Skyscrapers where wooden tenements once stood. Shopping districts where street markets used to sprawl. The Opera School building long demolished. The cramped apartment where his parents struggled, erased by luxury developments. Physical spaces of his childhood exist only in memory now. But memory is sometimes more real than concrete. Jackie walks slowly along the harbour, 70 years old, body protesting every step, but walking nonetheless. Stillness feels like surrender. Movement, even painful movement, confirms existence. The harbour smells the same. Salt water, fish, diesel from boats. These scents bypass conscious thought and connect directly to childhood. Before fame, before success, before he became Jackie Chan, when he was just Kong Sang, small boy, almost sold, barely kept. The city wakes around him, deliverymen unloading trucks, early morning commuters rushing to work, street cleaners sweeping sidewalks, life continuing regardless of who watches. Jackie spent decades believing he was essential. That entertainment industry needed him. That audiences required his particular form of self-destruction. Age teaches different lesson. Everything continues without you. Your significance is contextual and temporary. This realization could be depressing. Instead, it's liberating. He thinks about his stunt team. The original members scattered now. Some dead. Some retired to places where weather is kinder to damaged joints. Some still working in film industry but behind cameras rather than in front of them. They built something together that can't be repeated. Specific moment, specific circumstance, specific combination of talent and desperation and fearlessness. Trying to recreate it would be foolish. Honoring it through memory is sufficient. Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao remain close despite physical distance. Text messages, occasional video calls. The bond doesn't require constant contact. They lived lifetimes together in those opera school years, survived what seemed unsurvivable, built careers from shared trauma. That foundation doesn't erode. Age might separate their bodies, but their understanding remains intimate. Brothers not by blood, but by something equally permanent. Jackie's phone contains thousands of photos. Grandchildren he barely knew existed until recently. JC's kids, another generation carrying forward whatever legacy means. They know Grandpa was famous, did dangerous things in movies, but to them, he's just elderly man who moves slowly and sometimes tells interesting stories. This anonymity within family is healthy. Reminder that fame is performance. Family should be space where performance isn't required. His relationship with JC continues evolving. They share meals occasionally. Conversation remains somewhat awkward. Decades of distance can't be overcome through weekly dinners, but effort matters. Showing up consistently, being present even when presence is uncomfortable. Jackie is learning that repair is process rather than event. You don't fix damaged relationship. You build new relationships slowly, patiently, without expectation of specific outcome. Etta remains absent. That wound stays open. Jackie has written letters never sent. Practiced apologies that will never be delivered. Some damage truly is permanent. Accepting this is part of peace. You can't force forgiveness, can't demand reconciliation. Some people you hurt don't want your apology, they want your absence. Providing that absence when requested is perhaps the only meaningful amends available. It's painful, but pain from respecting someone's boundaries is different from pain caused by violating them. His wife, Lin Fengjiao, has become more visible in his later years. The secrecy that defined their early marriage dissolved. Now she appears publicly beside him. Their relationship survived everything that should have destroyed it. That survival doesn't make the relationship perfect. They've accumulated their own scars, had their own struggles, but they remained, chose each other repeatedly despite having reasons to choose otherwise. This persistence is its own form of love. Teaching continues bringing unexpected satisfaction. Young performers seeking guidance, Jackie sharing knowledge without demanding they follow his exact path. He's learned to separate what worked from what damaged, to pass forward technique without trauma. Students can learn physical comedy without learning self-destruction, can develop stunt skills without developing pain addiction. This distinction matters. Jackie's methods don't need to be replicated for his innovations to continue. Film festival retrospectives happen regularly now, career-spanning programs, panels discussing his influence, academic papers analyzing his choreography. Jackie attends when health permits, watches his younger self on large screens. The person up there seems like stranger, familiar but distant. That fearless man jumping off buildings existed, but he's gone now. Jackie remembers being him without fully connecting to who that person was. Time creates distance from your own history. The blooper reels provoke complex emotions. Audiences still laugh, still gasp at the impacts, still appreciate the authenticity. But Jackie watches and sees something different now. He sees addiction performing itself, compulsion disguised as dedication, trauma response packaged as entertainment. The laughter he hears from audiences sounds different than it used to. Not wrong exactly, but incomplete. They're enjoying the surface without seeing depth. That's fine. Entertainment should entertain. But Jackie sees through to mechanisms underneath. He's started writing more seriously, not just reflections, but something approaching philosophy, thoughts on pain, on performance, on transformation, on aging, on legacy. The writing is slow. Jackie spent lifetime communicating through body. Using words feels foreign, but language offers precision. Physical performance can't achieve, allows nuance, permits contradiction, enables complexity that action sequences must simplify. Whether he'll publish these writings is unclear. Maybe they're just for him. Process of understanding rather than product for consumption. After 60 years of making everything public, of performing constantly, private expression feels radical, creating without audience, thinking without monetizing the thoughts. Just being rather than performing, being. Revolutionary for someone whose entire existence was performance. Conservation work grounds him in present moment. Working with animals requires attention to now. Can't reminisce about past glory with panda. Can't project future legacy to tiger. Just present, feeding, observing, protecting. The work is humble, unglamorous. Nobody applauds you for cleaning habitats or monitoring populations. But importance doesn't require recognition. Impact doesn't need audience. Jackie is learning this slowly. Value exists independent of validation. His spiritual practice has deepened without becoming religious. Buddhism influences his thinking without requiring doctrine. The concepts resonate: impermanence, non-attachment, suffering as teacher, compassion towards self and others. These ideas aren't abstract anymore, they're lived experience. Jackie's body is lesson in impermanence. His career teaches non-attachment. His chronic pain is teacher showing him what endurance actually means beyond performance of endurance. Meditation happens naturally now, sitting with pain without trying to fix it, observing thoughts without believing all of them, breathing through discomfort. These practices, developed over years of physical therapy, became spiritual practice almost accidentally. When you spend enough time managing chronic pain, you develop relationship with sensation that looks like advanced meditation. Suffering becomes teacher if you pay attention. He's made peace with being complicated legacy. Some people consider him hero. Others see cautionary tale. Both groups are correct. He changed cinema while damaging himself. Inspired millions while failing those closest to him. Achieved extraordinary things through methods nobody should repeat. This complexity is accurate. Trying to simplify it would be dishonest. Jackie is learning to let other people interpret his story without controlling their interpretation. The money he earned created opportunities for generosity. Schools built, scholarships funded, medical care provided to former stunt team members whose insurance doesn't cover treatments for decades-old injuries. This redistribution doesn't absolve anything, doesn't erase failures, but it's something. Better than hoarding resources, better than taking everything to grave. Money is just energy. Using it to create opportunities for others converts accumulated success into continuing impact. Hong Kong continues changing. The film industry that Jackie helped build has shifted, moved to mainland China, adapted to new political realities. The wild, creative energy of 1980s Hong Kong cinema seems impossible to recreate under current conditions. Jackie mourns this loss while acknowledging everything changes. Preservation through memory. Influence through continued work of younger filmmakers. Legacy, living in techniques that persist even as original context disappears. He attends funerals more frequently now. Industry colleagues, stunt team members, opera school survivors. Each funeral is reminder. Time remaining is finite. Legacy is determined by choices made today, not accomplishments from decades past. How you treat people matters more than what you achieved. Kindness counts more than fame. Being remembered fondly by few people who truly knew you is better than being recognized by millions who only know your image. Simple pleasures sustain him now. Good tea, quiet morning, conversation with old friend, watching grandchildren play. These moments don't generate headlines, won't appear in documentaries, but they constitute actual life, the life that exists between performances. Jackie spent 60 years focused on spectacular, missing ordinary. Now, ordinary is what matters. Normal is what he's learning to value. Physical limitations force adaptation.
Can't run anymore. Can't jump. Can't take falls.
Can barely climb stairs some days. But limitation isn't absence of capacity. It's different capacity. Jackie can listen now in ways he couldn't before. Can observe.
Can be present without dominating.
These are skills too. Different from stunt work, but equally valuable in different contexts. His face in mirror shows accumulated years.
Lines around eyes from squinting through pain.
Scars partially hidden but still visible. Hair grey, then white. The face's roadmap?
Evidence of journey taken.
Jackie doesn't love what he sees, but he accepts it. This is face that results from his choices.
Arguing with reality is futile.
Making peace with results of decisions is possible path forward. The harbour stretches before him. Boats moving across water. Sun climbing higher. Jackie's reflection appears on water's surface when conditions are right, distorted, rippling, never quite solid.
That seems appropriate. His image has always been fluid.
Shaped by angle, determined by perspective. Different to everyone who sees him.
Maybe that's all identity is.
Collection of perspectives. Series of performances. Ongoing negotiation between who you are and who others think you are. Jackie turns from harbour and walks slowly back into city. Body protesting, spirit quiet.
Not defeated, not triumphant.
Just present.
existing in this moment without requiring it to be anything other than what it is.
The spectacular made him famous. The ordinary might finally make him whole. Time will reveal which matters more. For now, there's just walking, breathing, being alive in damaged body, making peace with what was and what is, letting go of needing to control what will be remembered.
That's enough. Maybe that's everything.